To the world-famous marquee outside Maple Leaf Gardens and Carlton Street in Toronto, and today this great building will play host to its final ever professional sporting event. The temperature outside Maple Leaf Gardens today, 27 degrees Celsius. You can only imagine how hot it is going to get inside here for today's National Lacrosse League Championship game. The Gardens has hosted Stanley Cups, heads of state, heavyweight fights, and the Beatles have played here. And today the Rochester Knighthawks and the Toronto Rock will once again have to endure yet another hard day's night for the second straight year if either side is to contemplate another National Lacrosse League Championship. The following is a presentation of Molestar Sports and Entertainment. It's professional lacrosse's most prized hardware, but in 1999, the Toronto Rock not only provided the why, they showed the wherefore to win it all. It was a case of 4 score for Doyle, and while there'd be no stall in Colin, the Knighthawks proved resilient as well. They'd battle back until Coyle lowered the boom on Casey. Momentum back, the Rock were now a righted ship en route to that first championship. 13-10 the final. This was one Rock for the ages. February 5th, 2000 at Rochester, not exactly a Kodak moment for the Rock. Special teams in the back of the net were left overexposed. There'd be no photocopy of the title game. The Knighthawks ruled the day, a 14-9 final. 6 days later, the scene shifts back to the Gardens. Wings clipped and beaks bashed. Suddenly, the birds of prey were in need of a prayer. While Toronto went mainstream on one gill. A 4-goal game for Chris as Toronto won 11-10. Semi-final time and no Philadelphia story. Toronto topped the headlines and wins 14-10, while in Buffalo the Hawks prevailed 15-11. Today it's a championship rematch, a trophy born in the USA. But either way, it'll be a title made today in Canada. Maple Leaf Gardens, a building christened with a Stanley Cup in 1932, looking for one last title 68 years later. The National Lacrosse League Championship is on deck. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a raucous Maple Leaf Gardens for today's National Lacrosse League Championship game. Both semifinals were contested a fortnight ago, and of course, both teams able to hold down their respective forts en route to today's berth in the National Lacrosse League Championship. Mayday, Mayday, the championship is here today. At Toronto, the Rock would entertain the Philadelphia Wings for the second straight year. The physical presence of Jake Berge and the waterbug versatility of Mark Millen would prove a challenge, but the Rock would not be denied a second straight trip to the championship game. The Rock vaulted to a 4-0 first quarter lead, and although a rout appeared imminent, Philadelphia would flex their wings and Toronto led at the half by just 5-4, but they'd outscore the Wings 7-3 in the final frame. A tremendous display of balance on the score sheet, with 12 different players accounting for Toronto's production on this day in a 14-10 semi-final victory, and for the Rock another superb effort, 14-1 on home floor the last 2 years. Well, at Buffalo, the Bandits fully expected to advance to their first championship final since 1997, and their chances look good, considering they hadn't lost on home floor since January 8th, coincidentally to the Toronto Rock. But the Knighthawks were to have none of that, jumping out to an early lead and never really were threatened after that. Rookie of the Year John Grant Jr. led the way with 5 goals and 2 assists. Balance at either end was certainly a key. Keeper Pat O'Toole would make 41 saves and beat the very team he won a championship with back in 1997, a 15-11 final, and Rochester's third trip to the final in the past 6 years. And you talk about red hot, not only the weather, but the Knighthawks and the Rock as well, a combined 11-0 in their past 11 straight games. A pleasure to welcome Paul Day, head coach of the Rochester Knighthawks. Paul, you played for Les Bartley back in 1992, won a championship. You both live in St. Catharines. There's not much that you don't know about each other. Will there be a surprise here this afternoon?
Well, you know, we're really excited to come in here. I think the biggest thing for him and I is a lot of bragging rights for the summer back in St. Catharines. Know a lot of the same people, and we've helped out the same organization. So, you know, it's probably going to be one of the best lacrosse games you've ever seen here today. 2 great goaltenders, Pat O'Toole and Bob Watson, number 1 and 2 in the league respectively. They probably might be the key to victory this afternoon. Yeah, definitely with the weather and stuff. And, you know, the 2 of them play together on the same team in the summertime. There's a lot of bus trips, and there's a lot of bragging rights there again. And 2 of the top goalies in the league.
Good luck this afternoon, and thank you for this, Paul.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Paul Day, head coach of the Rochester Knighthawks. Let's send it upstairs to Joe Bowen and Brian Shanahan.
Thanks very much, Paul. Well, it is going to be an exciting afternoon of lacrosse here. The second straight year that the National Lacrosse League Championship has come to the Grand Ole Lady on Carlton Street. As you see, the Toronto Rock getting prepared to be introduced here by PA announcer Bruce Barker. The Rock over the the first part of the season, Brian, it was a two-man show. Dan Stroop and Chris Gill was the offense. Now things have really evened out.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. About halfway through the season, those two guys were accounting for half their goals. But as of late, the Rock offense have come to life. Glenn Clark, some of the defensive players have been chipping in. It's no coincidence that Kim Squires is back in the lineup. He's chipping in. Colin Doyle is picking up the pace, and Caleb Toth is getting in there. So it really helps that they're getting balanced scoring. It's tough for opposing coaches to figure out how to stop them.
Last week, 11 different players scored. The week before, a dozen different players scored.
And like I was saying, it's tough for opposing coaches, not like Toronto that can key on a guy like John Grant with Rochester.
Speaking of John Grant, that is where a lot of the attention that the Toronto Rock will focus this afternoon. He has been simply outstanding in his rookie season in the National Lacrosse League, and he's got all the tricks.
Oh yeah, John Grant's a fantastic player. He's got a great outside shot. He's got the inside shot. We're going to see some of his goals. He is hot lately. Last week, he scored 5 goals against Buffalo. From the outside, you just can't let him shoot. He's got a, here you see an inside goal, but he scores 3 power play goals from the outside here. But he is hot lately. The last 2 games, he's got 11 goals, 20 shots, over half of his goals going in. Watch this move here. Looks like he's got nowhere to shoot at. Puts it in over the shoulder. Played field lacrosse for Canada in the summer. How about this move, Joe?
He made 8 of them there in about 2 seconds, didn't he? The last time a rookie made the All-Pro team, there were 2 of them.
Yep, the Gate brothers. The Gate brothers were the last time. So John Grant had a big year, Rookie of the Year, and All-Pro.
So it's going to be a great afternoon of lacrosse action, and we're going to exactly see what team is going to be able to withstand the heat in here. The building's going to be a factor because it hasn't been this hot.
But you know what, Joe? These guys are used to it. These guys, all Canadians, most of them, they play in the lacrosse in the summer. The heat's going to be a bigger factor for the crowd than it will be for the players.
Well, 7 years ago, Doug Gilmore scored in sudden death overtime against your brother's team from St. Louis, and I'll tell you, it was about 120 in this building on that occasion. So the Rock have completed their introductions here. Let's go downstairs to floor level now, and here's Paul Henry.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe, if it's warm and hot up where you are, it is warm and raucous down here at floor level at Maple Leaf Gardens. Head coach Les Bartley endeavoring to win his 5th National Lacrosse League Championship. He'd win 3 with the Buffalo Bandits, and he has won 1 here with the Toronto Rock last year, hoping to make it 2 straight in Maple Leaf Gardens on a hot, sultry afternoon here in the city of Toronto this afternoon. And a pleasure to welcome to the program the head coach of the Toronto Rock, Les Bartley. Les, the place is packed, it's hot, the adrenaline is flowing. It doesn't get any better than this.
No, this is a great setting for lacrosse.
What is going to happen out here today? I know you're anticipating a Toronto Rock win. What are the Rock going to have to do to facilitate that?
Well, we can't give any of their offensive guys big nights, and John Grant being that guy. The other thing is we have to play in control. If we do that, I like our chances.
In terms of offensive production, you've been able to spread the scoring. The balance sheet has been spread throughout in the last few weeks. Will you need more of that here today?
Absolutely. That's been our key to our success offensively the last 4 or 5 games. We need that to happen again today.
Double-digit goals in terms of winning this afternoon, or will it get that far?
I believe it'll be those stats, 13, 12, around there.
Well, Les, we are all set. The best of luck, and thank you very much. Les Bartley, head coach of the Toronto Rock, awaiting in the wings the Rochester Knighthawks. 1 title on the line here in Toronto this afternoon. The first half is next. Today's Molson Export National Lacrosse League Championship Final is brought to you by
And let's go quickly to Brian Shanahan's Secrets of Success, brought to you by Midas.
Well, Joe, it's no secret that they have to contain John Grant Jr., and this is going to be part of their keys. They also want to play 5-on-5, stay out of the penalty situation, get to the goalie early. O'Toole, he's strong if he gets into the game, and they got to maintain loose ball dominance like they have all year. As far as Rochester, they want to get off to a quick start, try to get the crowd out of it. Fast break all night, work the Toronto defense, maintain their composure, especially if the crowd really gets in it. And like Toronto, they got to fight for the loose balls.
The starting goaltenders for the Rochester Knighthawks, and there he is Brampton resident Pat O'Toole, who is 8-2-0 with a 12.01 goals against average this year and a 77.12 save percentage. And Bob Watson at the other end of the floor, Guelph native, Ontario-born, and his goals against average this year, 11.05. That was the league's best. The referees from Oshawa, Bill Fox and Paul Ravery, along with Bruce Crawford from Boston. Scott Malloy is the shot clock man down from Oshawa as well. And again, a big gathering, a sellout here at Maple Leaf Gardens on a very hot and steamy day in southern Ontario.
And it's going to be pretty hot under that goaltending equipment too, Joe, but we're seeing two of the best, probably the two best playing in this league right now.
And a lot is going to depend on water consumption and everything else. Here we go! The National Lacrosse League Championship is underway. This is Rod Squire bringing it down the floor and sets it up for Terry Bullen, who will head off. Jim Veltman, all-pro, waiting for teammates to arrive, took a shot anyway, and that was stopped by O'Toole. And the first shot on goal registered by the Toronto Rock captain. Quickly back the other way is Pat McCready. McCready trying to go wide. Being worked on there by Rory Graham. Loose ball is gathered up by Pat Coyle, but brought out at center now by Glenn Clark. Good hit there by Chris Langdale to spring the ball free. Toll, St. Catharines, Ontario native, got it over on the far side. Squire setting it up now to Harrison. Outside shot and a dandy, and a good arm save made by O'Toole. Quick break, trying to find his man was Hazen, and he was turned over. Ball on the carpet. Here's a hit there by Harrison. Trying to get free is Jerry Holenback, and down he goes. And the ball is turned over to Toronto. Looks like the boys are getting into it early.
Yeah, they've been working hard on the loose balls. I think they've won every loose ball battle so far. It's good to see them getting the shots, too. At this stage, you want to see some outside shots. Get O'Toole into it.
Harrison and Toth working up top. Harrison over here to Caleb Toth. Two fine rookies in the league. Toth has lost his helmet. A shot hit the goalpost. It bounds towards the timeline and will go over the timeline. Knocked free, and it is Squire with it again. Caleb Toth, Calgary, Alberta native, bringing it up. One of Air Waters group that flies in on weekends to play for the Toronto Rock.
There's a hidden ball trick, Joe. See if it works.
I think they got onto it. Colin Doyle, Chris Langdale working the near side. And the crowd is definitely into it in the early going here. Langdale outside, Veltman shot it wide. Rebound on the carpet. Langdale thought he had it but couldn't control, and they've run out of time. 30-second clock runs out, and the ball exchanged to Rochester, and we are closing in on 3 minutes played without our opening goal.
I don't think we've seen John Grant yet. He's stepping
on the floor there right now. Number 24. Powell has it in the corner. Faked it to Grant. Outside chance now. This is Sudan going to the net. And Bob Watson got big on the post, and a good hit from behind there, sending his man to the floor, Pat Coyle. If they have a most wanted poster hung up in various dressing rooms for criminal activity, Pat Coyle's face is probably on it in most visiting dressing rooms coming to Toronto.
Yeah, and last year he made a big hit on Casey Powell, more or less knocked him out of the game early on, and there's still some bad feelings about that one.
O'Toole with a good save on Harrison. Shots favor Toronto 4-1. And here is John Grant Jr., Peterborough native, who has just been outstanding. Good fake pass there. Grant from outside. No, dishes off. A shot rolls towards the goal crease. Smothered. No, loose ball set high. But stepping into the goal crease there was Rusty Kruger. And so it is Toronto ball. And we've got a break on the floor. And as well as having a capacity crowd here, we're blessed with having a young Nova Scotia man, Jeff Douglas, who's become rather famous in Canada over the last couple of months, and he's going to show you why. Maple Leaf Gardens, Joe Canadian.
Hey, I'm not a lumberjack or a fur trader. I don't live in an igloo, eat blubber, or own a dog sled. And I don't know Jimmy, Susie, or Sally from Canada, although I'm certain they're really, really nice. I have a prime minister, not a president. I speak English and French, not American, and I pronounce it about, not a boot. I can proudly sew my country's flag on my backpack. I believe in peacekeeping, not policing, diversity, not assimilation, and that the beaver is a proud and noble animal. A tooth is a hat, a Chesterfield is a couch, and it is pronounced Zed, not Z.
Shot it over top of the net. Toll inside. Shot goes wide. Doyle can't get to it. 11 seconds on the shot clock. Pass in front. Another shot goes wide. Veltman with it now. 5 seconds on the clock. Inside. Doyle. Shot is stopped on a good save by O'Toole. He's been the story thus far. Casey Zaff bringing the ball up the floor now for Rochester. Bomberry works the far side. Bomberry dishing it back. Jacobs on the right side, and now Kruger gets it inside, and another good save. And we've seen the two best goaltenders in the National Lacrosse League firing shutouts at one another here in the first quarter. Paddy Coyle to the net and stopped by O'Toole. Teat taken to the boards, and a penalty is coming to Toronto. Coyle is going to get a penalty for the shot on the board. This is referee Bill Fox with his hand in the air. Extra attacker on the floor for Rochester. Outside chance, Sedan. Bounced into the corner for Powell. Sedan out now for Grant. Long shot. Good save made by Watson. And the first power play for either team comes here in the first quarter.
Well, Paddy Coyle almost scored a goal there, took a penalty at the end of it. This is going to be a good test for Toronto because Rochester's got some good talent in the power play.
On the regular year, they scored 41 power play goals in 87 opportunities. Last week against Buffalo, they were 3 of 6, and Grant scored them all.
They won't be letting him shoot. I can almost guarantee that.
Bomberry does, and the save made. The rebound is shoveled over the shoulder by Dwayne Jacobs wide of the net. On the floor, it's played ahead, but a big hit. Here's a chance for Veltman. Got it ahead. Veltman's going to the net as well. The shot scores! Glenn Clark. Glenn Clark brings them to their feet at the Gardens, and it's 1-0.
This play started with a loose ball by Terry Bullen. We're going to see the Bullen scooped up a loose ball, and Veltman finished it off with a nice pass. But Glenn Clark has continued to contribute to the offense. Basically a defensive player. He scored 2 last week. Scores a big one here, shorthanded goal.
The Rock during the regular season scored 16 shorthanded goals, second only to the 18 scored by their opponents this afternoon. They did not score a shorthanded goal last week in their win over the Philadelphia Wings. Power play still on as Watson takes charge. Veltman bringing the ball up the floor for Toronto, leading 1-0 in the first period. Penalty is half over. Dan Stroop, New Westminster, BC native, killing off time. He's got 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Taking a quick glance there. They're going to want to get some change of players going. He'll take the long shot that O'Toole has no trouble with. And quickly the Rock and Rochester Knighthawks exchange players. Both teams work the front and back door program, and John Grant bringing the power play up now for Rochester. Drops it off for Randy Means. Means and a pass on the far side, and Powell's shot bounced. Now they're trying to get a clarification. Did it hit the net and bounce into the seats? Yes, so it is Toronto ball. Veltman outlets, and 20 seconds remain in the penalty. This is Glenn Clark. Pullen and Veltman with the assists on the goal, and it is 1-0 in favor of the Toronto Rock. Clark's third in the postseason. Trying to drive through as the penalty is over. Coyle's back on. Toll to the far side for Colin Doyle. Winds and delivers, and the shot is stopped by Pat O'Toole. Clark, during the regular season, had 7 goals and 17 points and had 1 shorthanded goal. This is Grant making a move on Pullen. And the Rock would like to isolate Pullen on Grant as much as possible. And an errant pass, and here's Pat Coyle trying to muscle his way into the offensive end. Looks for a man, finds Graham, but off his stick. Graham ties up a couple of Rochester players to allow Toth to the ball. The pass inside, and Gill trying to one-time it in behind O'Toole. Didn't quite get enough of it, though, Brian. As we take a break here this afternoon, the Rock lead Rochester 1-0.
What? Nobody shaves during the playoffs.
Glenn Clark scored his third goal of the playoffs here, a shorthanded goal. It starts with Terry Bullen. Watch this move here to scoop up the loose ball and get the pass up to Veltman. And Veltman plays his two-on-one perfectly. You're going to see he makes a nice pass here. Clark, he's looking for the return pass, and he sees they're getting him in the lane, so he takes it. The short side, that's where he seems to always like to score. He has been real hot lately. He got 5 points last week. Playing out of the back door only, too, so he's really contributing. It's always a bonus when you get the defensive guys plopping in a few.
Well, the defensive guy is leading the team in postseason scoring with 3 goals. And the Pickering native, who's a phys ed teacher in Richmond Hill at Bayview Secondary School, has the Rock out in front 1-0. High pass for Gill, but Harrison's going to track it down. 10 seconds left in the shot clock, and the pass for Gill, he was knocked down in front on a good play by Mike Hazen. Not much time left, 3 seconds left. Stroop with the shot. O'Toole has been just razor sharp thus far. He's faced 11 Toronto shots. McCready bringing the ball up the floor and dishing it off for Dwayne Jacobs. Jacobs' pass intercepted by Graham, and a bad turnover here for Rochester. Graham looking for Clark again, who goes into the rush. Clark against the end boards, has the ball, centered it in front, unable to find Colin Doyle. Cole gets it outside for Veltman, on the far side for Colin Doyle. Doyle had 4 goals against Rochester in last year's championship game. A shot right on, and again, O'Toole is equal to the task. He's been terrific. Out comes Rochester.
They've definitely been taking a lot of shots on him. If Toronto's part of their game plan is to shoot on him early, they're really doing that.
Rusty Kruger. Now back to Grant. He winds it up. Scores! John Grant Jr. fires it in from about 20 feet out, and we get Coyle shoving in front of the net with one of the Rochester KnightHawks, Rusty Kruger.
This is why you really have to watch John Grant. This is the first shot he's had, Joe. And the first time in the game that he's got any breathing room out there. And you can see with his shot, you can't be getting... Watch here when he gets the ball. This is the first time he's got room. He's going to step in. Terry Bullen's not on the floor, or he is on the floor, but he was not quite on him when he got it. We're going to have another look at it here. Bullen's trying to switch. Bullen is not covering him at this point. First time Grant gets a chance to step in, and he scores. This is why Toronto's going to have to emphasize not to give him the ball at all.
6th goal of the postseason, and John Grant was 3rd in league scoring. He had 37 goals and 97 points.
He's now got 12 goals in his last 21 shots.
1-1 is the score, and coincident minor penalties as well. Coyle going off again, along with Kruger. And a ball into the slot area is scooped up and run back up the floor quickly by Randy Mearns. Mearns having difficulties with stroke. Mearns pulls it up and shovels it off. Here's Grant from outside. Fake that shot. Now gets to go to the net and scores! No, it's waved off.
And it was a good call. Dean Harrison was trying to switch, and the man that he was covering grabbed onto him. The referee saw it.
So it remains 1-1 in this afternoon's first period, brought to you by AOL Canada. New pricing, unlimited use. Stay on as long as you want. Veltman for Toronto. Inside and Feld in there, and then Colin Doyle goes in as Kim Squire got nailed, and he's battling in with Mike Hazen. Hazen gets the helmet off and starts throwing punches at Colin Doyle. Now Squire out in front, so not only is it hot inside, but the tempers are starting to boil as well. Coyle already in the box to be joined by Colin Doyle, and Mike Hazen will go in alongside Rusty Kruger.
Here you're going to see why this goal doesn't count. You're going to see Dean Harrison right in front up here is covering his man. And he gets held here. The referee, Bill Fox, saw it.
Right over here, Rochester. He's got a high stick and a rough. Only 2 minutes on the clock. 7's got a rough. 2 minutes, Rochester.
So Bill Fox with the call. And the intensity of the championship game demonstrated very early on here.
5 on 4. 1.
Well, I think Colin Doyle felt that they were taking liberties with Kim Squire and gets in to protect him, but I don't think Doyle wants to be getting mixed up. I don't think that is his role on the team, to be protecting Squires.
And we've already seen that Squires can protect themselves rather well.
Exactly, and Rochester would only be too happy to take Doyle off, to send a defensive player off with Doyle. It's easy to cover a guy when he's sitting in the penalty box.
And here's a look at what happened in front of the net, in front of Pat O'Toole, as Squire got felled from behind by Mike Hazen.
You know, questionably a late hit, but it's not too bad.
Mike Hazen, a Toronto native who now lives in Brampton, Ontario. And it is Toronto who's on the power play because of the extra hit. A loose ball behind, no goal. Waved off again. He was in the goal crease, says the referee on the scene, Bruce Crawford. And so both teams have had a goal called back.
I didn't think he stepped in the crease, but did.
Powell bringing the ball up the floor for Rochester. Grant being shadowed by Bullen as Powell looks for him. Now Grant outside, and boy, he can shoot the ball through a small hole. And he got that one through, but it went wide. And the timeline violation, as knocked down on the way to the bench, was Kurt Molosky, got run over heading towards the Rochester bench, and a penalty's coming to Toronto as a result.
And we just saw a replay of the goal that didn't count. And I think why the referee called it, there's actually, I think it's a stupid rule in this league, is you can't score from behind the net. And I think what they said there is he was shooting from behind the net. Now that's a rule unique to this league that I think they should change.
Going to the penalty box is Rory Graham of the Rock, which will negate their power play a minute into it. As he knocked down Molosky heading back to the bench. It is a cross-checking call.
You got to hold it to 5.
And so,
okay.
At 10:56, the call is made, and that means that the Rochester Knighthawks, watch to the left of your screen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you see Rory Graham.
No, that was Bullock. It was
Bullock.
over here, just as they were heading to the bench, I think is what the call was. But Graham goes off for cross-checking. So
They got to give a new name to that penalty cross.
yes, yeah, with what goes on, you wonder how it could be called. A shot by Powell goes wide. 1-1 is our score. Rochester about to go on their second power play. A loose ball, Dan Ladouceur into the rush. Ladouceur scored 1 goal this year in the last game against Syracuse. Knocked down in front of the net was Clark. Clark takes a whack at Brad MacArthur. And back comes Rochester. Casey Zapp with the ball, hands it off. Tim Sudan, Fairport, New York native, works it inside to the far side for Molosky, and there is a horn here. Is it, I think, a timeout been called? Or is possible? No. What's happened is that
there's a problem on the timekeeper's
clock.
bench.
We're going to go to a commercial break and sort it all out. The Rochester Knighthawks and the Toronto Rock are tied 1-1.
You know how you hear some words and you think you've seen them before? Investments. Right. They manage money. Serious. Then you see them again. Performance. Here. There. Not just any mutual fund. Yeah, that's it. Warburg Pincus Mutual Funds. Warburg.com.
Welcome to the Warburg Pincus family of funds.
If you think all ATVs are created equal, you've never ridden a Yamaha. The new Kodiak 400 Automatic and Big Bear 400 from Yamaha. 'Cause out here, bears rule.
Paige, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me.
You know I'm married to Ken.
No, I don't believe you. I was in a coma when you say you got married.
Chicks don't do this.
Paige, please.
If you love playoff hockey, you'll love Star Choice. We guarantee you'll see all the conference final and Stanley Cup games. It's part of our programming promise. Star Choice. It's your television.
How can you be such an ice queen?
Huh? Ice? What? Is the game on?
3:18 left in the first quarter, tied at a goal. And Molson Export Rock Lacrosse brought you in part by Molson Export. Rock this. And by Chevy Trucks, like a rock.
'22 Graham. Okay?
Bill Fox, the referee, talking with the timekeepers. What has happened is that the penalty time of the Rock penalty to Graham has not been put up on the board, so the teams don't know how long the power play is going to last, and that's what we're sorting out here now. As Bill Fox is over talking to the respective benches and their representatives, and Veltman will now inform Coach Les Bartley, and Paul Day will be informed by his co-captain.
Yeah, well, we do know that Rochester's going to go on the power play in 12 seconds.
We know that. How long it is, I'm going to leave the mathematics to you, wizard that you are.
But I do know that Terry Bullen is not going to let John Grant shoot.
All right. Well, he's out there up high with Grant. Out of the box comes Hollenbach. And now here's Kruger with a shot that's stopped, and it is caught up in the equipment of Bob Watson.
Well, that was a tricky play there. Kruger was just trying to catch everybody sleeping. It looked like Watson was not paying attention for a second. Smart play.
So the power play has been the key in the first 2 goals. The Rock scored shorthanded on the first Rochester power play, and they subsequently tied it up with a power play goal. Toll trying to go wide, couldn't. Toll took a shot, and that was wide. It bounced to the far side and will be given away by the Rock here as time turns over. All power plays this afternoon are brought to you by DeWalt Power Tool, guaranteed tough. Here is Grant. Into the corner, Grant gets it quickly returned. Jacobs working the right side as Bomberry gets it in front, and the shot by Jacobs went over top of the net. Grant has the rebound and a fresh 30 on the clock as Watson is ruled to have touched that. A loose ball in front, scores! Tim Sudan on a nice feed, and an underhanded shot beats Watson for a 2-1 Rochester lead.
You're going to see Sudan here. All he does, he just cuts through the middle hard. Here he's cutting through, catches it. Nice underhand shot. You can see Jacobs makes the pass. And this is one of the fundamentals of offense in lacrosse, is always cut through the middle. Makes it tough on the defense. Sudan puts a nice finish on that one.
Second goal of the playoffs for Sudan, and going to the net, and Sudan is nailed from behind. The ball turned over again to Rochester. Power play goal for Sudan and the Rochester Knighthawks. And another penalty, and Pat Coyle has been wearing the carpet out on the way to the penalty box. His third trip there in the first quarter.
Well, I know that
this afternoon's first quarter brought to you by AOL Canada. New pricing, unlimited use. Stay on as long as you want. Minute 47 to go in it. Grant. Bomberry outside. Sudan back to Bomberry in return. Sudan shoots, scores! And the power play has been very effective here for the Rochester Knighthawks.
Well, I know Rochester felt like Pat Coyle gets away with too much out there, and I'm sure they've been doing a lot of lobbying with the referees. And so far, it might be helping a bit. Referees are watching for Pat Coyle. Here you're going to see Sudan score a second in a row. Just a nice sidearm shot. Bounces it in on the short side.
Second goal as Graham has his helmet knocked off his head. And the contact turns the ball over to Toronto. So the Toronto Rock looking for their first even strength goal. Here's Gill through the air, denied by O'Toole on a good save. The rebound goes back into the Toronto zone. Harrison having to bring it up. Caleb Todd, now to Dan Stroop. His shot is off the mark wide. The Rock have 14 shots on goal, but they've been guilty of missing the net a great deal. A long shot there, over the shoulder, and Doyle is knocked down and hurt, and not getting up very quickly as he heads down to the bench. Loose ball gathered up there by
Doyle now.
Sir. Now he's all right, and trying to go deep. Oh, it went just wide of an unguarded cage. Goaltender O'Toole came out, and Watson almost scored.
O'Toole came out to cover Doyle. The ball nearly went in the net.
Kruger, pass intercepted, and Pat Coyle starts away. Coyle trying to get away from the checking of Casey Zapp. Toll is felled with a hit from behind and a penalty, and they score! Beltman in front of the goal. Jim Beltman with 22 seconds left in the first quarter, and the Rock are within one.
This is a nice play by Pat Coyle. Look, he looks for the trailer coming from the bench. And Beltman, he puts on his off-speed shot. He changes direction of his follow-through halfway through the follow-through. You're going to see Beltman is great at doing this. He doesn't have a smooth follow-through. He kind of changes direction just before he follows through. And it really fools the goaltenders.
Second in the playoffs, and Rochester's calling a timeout. Jim Beltman had 17 loose balls in the win 2 weeks ago in the semifinal over the Philadelphia Wings. And during the regular season, 164 loose balls. When you compare that Randy Mearns led Rochester with 89, you realize what a valuable commodity Jim Veltman is.
It's absolutely amazing, and you can see he had 6 points last week. He really knows how to pick up his game for the big games. I'm so used to him getting these loose balls now that I rarely take notice of these 17, but
Bob Watson on this play almost scores from Ladouceur.
And Doyle was jumping up and down waiting for the pass. And it was a smart play by Patty O'Toole to come out and cover Doyle. But I'm sure Watson wasn't even thinking of that. He was just thinking of making a pass. Almost went in.
It is 3-2. And there is no next week. These guys are hanging it out to dry here in the heat at Maple Leaf Gardens. It has been a very physical first quarter. And now Toronto, with 13.1 seconds remaining, has called a timeout and will likely lift Bob Watson for the extra attacker.
For sure they will. They're going to lift him and try to get that shot with 2 or 3 seconds to go.
These two teams have been among the elite of the National Lacrosse League over the last 2 years and split the 2 games last year, split the 2 games this year, and the Rock won the National Lacrosse League Championship with a 13-10 victory here a year ago.
And so far, the home team has won every game, and the Rock hopes that continues.
The Rock are 14-1 in Maple Leaf Gardens over the 2 years, and this is the last game they will play here in this venerable shrine as they'll move to the Air Canada Centre next year as Bob Watson has gone to the bench. 6 attackers with 7 seconds left. Caleb Toth, set play, Doyle fires, and he hit Kim Squire in the back. And time will run out before McCready could get one launched at the empty net. But an exciting and physical first period of the National Lacrosse League Championship game from Toronto. Rochester leads 3-2.
Right now, the Cavalier sedan comes with air conditioning, 4-speed automatic with traction control, and power locks. With remote, keyless entry. The Chevrolet Cavalier 2000 Value Package. More features than ever. $218 a month or 1.9% purchase financing.
Hey, I'm not a lumberjack or a fur trader, and I don't live in an igloo or eat blubber or own a dog sled. I have a prime minister, not a president. I can proudly sew my country's flag on my backpack. I believe in peacekeeping, not policing. Diversity, not assimilation. And that the beaver is a truly proud and noble animal. A toque is a hat. A Chesterfield is a coach. And it is pronounced Z, not Z. Canada is the second largest landmass, the first nation of hockey, and the best part of North America. My name is Joe, and I am Canadian.
Now you can show your true colors. Look inside specially marked cases of Molson Canadian for one of 4 IM beer items. Must be legal drinking age, no product purchase necessary.
Log on to the hottest sports website in Canada, ctvsportsnet.com. It's TV on demand with full streaming video of Sports Central, the Hezzy Awards, the hockey news, and Ice Time. Daily columns from some of the most respected sports journalists in Canada. Plus, all the breaking news, scores, and stats. So when you log on for sports information, there's only one place to go: ctvsportsnet.com.
Welcome back. 3-2 Rochester through 1 quarter of play. Ed Como, the talk of a transitional game and shutting down that fast break of theirs.
Yeah, that's we're really been focusing on that this week, and we need to continue doing that in the second quarter.
And that means John Grant Jr. Joe, back upstairs to you. This has been a Molson Export Bench Report.
Thanks, Paul. 3-2 Rochester, second period underway. Corey Bomberry with the shot that rings wide. He gets his own rebound. Looks to send it to the net. Now takes it back outside. Bomberry knocked down from behind, and Veltman is hurt. He gets back up, but I guess is all right. Looked like he got stepped on. And let's see where the penalty is going.
I don't know if he's calling a hold or what. I think this was a good check by Veltman. You're going to see in the bottom left of the screen, Veltman coming over. He's got nothing but stick. Now, I think it was Malowski, and he went down, but I don't see what Veltman did that would deserve a penalty on that.
So Rochester 1 for 3 on the power play with Veltman going to the box. Sudan, who has scored twice. Avenue opens up, then didn't shoot it, and a quick stick there on a good play by Steve Toll, knocked it away. Now the scramble is on. Sudan, good play from behind the net, trying to come out in front. Coyle would have none of it. Bounding ball is corralled and brought up the floor by Glenn Clark. He has one of the 2 Toronto goals. Clark looking for Toll. Steve Toll, 6th round pick from Niagara Falls Gamblers for the Toronto Rock, gives it off to Kim Squire. Kim Squire directing some traffic here, gets the pick play from Colin Doyle. Now Squire to the net, shot stopped on the short side there, and a good save by O'Toole. Doyle has the loose ball and a fresh 30 to work with a minute 7 to go in the Rochester power play. Stroop wants to kill off some time. Dan Stroop, 31-year veteran from New Westminster, British Columbia, is a firefighter in Vancouver. Kim Squire fakes the shot, works down low, lost the ball, and time was going to run out on him anyway. Rochester bringing it back. Dwayne Jacobs with 40 seconds left in the power play. Hands it off to Corey Bomberry. 23-year-old brings it up now for Rochester, and Sudan and he play catch on the outside. Bomberry. Sudan again. Trying to get inside, and the shot went over top. Back of the goal, this is Malowski. Kurt Malowski can score as well. Bomberry dumping it back. Grant with the move. Behind the back pass, but it's on the carpet. Clark having difficulties with it. Grant with a good hit. Grant gets the rebound. And we got all kinds of things going on here. Penalty coming up.
I think he's actually given a penalty to John Grant for that hit. And this, too, is a terrible call.
Yes, it is. Grant's going to the penalty box.
He's calling him for charging. You're going to see a nice play by Glenn Clark here on the loose ball, and Grant makes a nice hit. That's a terrible call, but I'd say maybe it's a makeup call, but I hope the referees just let these guys play from now on.
So Toronto will go to its second power play of the game. Squire. Doyle. Shot by Toth, and a good save made there by O'Toole. The long outlet is nowhere near anyone. It's bounding down wide of the goal. Watson is hit and knocked down. Play goes right on, and Colin Doyle has it now in his own zone. Kim Squire bringing the power play with a minute 28 up. So Rochester didn't kill very much time out with that errant pass from O'Toole. Pass for Gill goes high in the air, and it is corralled and quickly brought up by Pat McCready. McCready to the net, stopped by Bob Watson. There's a loose ball in front. Another shot stopped by Watson. Doyle trying to get rid of it. Ladisseur's in pursuit. And McCready will slow it down. A minute left in the power play. Rusty Kruger for the Rochester Knighthawks, who lead 3-2. Kruger going to the net, took the shot, and Watson stood up and made the save. Ladiseur quickly dishes it off, and then dishes them off as Rusty Kruger got flattened. Caleb Toth bringing the ball up. He and John Grant were two of the prize rookies in this league. And maybe if Grant didn't come in this year, Caleb Toth may have been Rookie of the Year, but that's a foregone conclusion with Grant's total.
Exactly.
Squire, shot blocked by O'Toole. That is the 20th shot on goal for Toronto to 15 for the Rochester Knighthawks. Captain of the Knighthawks bringing it up, Randy Mearns, and a hit there by Coyle. Coyle taking a healthy run at MacArthur. MacArthur now trying to kill off the remaining 2 seconds of this penalty, and Grant's back on the floor. Grant's going to stay out there as Dwayne Jacobs runs the offense and scores! Dwayne Jacobs, who had 2 assists on the Sudan goals, fires one over the shoulder of Bob Watson.
And Dwayne Jacobs just takes a good hard outside shot here. Nothing fancy about it. He's the all-time leading scorer of Rochester, and you see why here. Just a hard, high outside shot to the far side, just picked the corner.
His 3rd goal of the postseason.
Dwayne Jacobs' stats are down a bit this year, 13 goals this season.
Now Veltman with a break on O'Toole, and O'Toole made the save. And the ball is turned over to Rochester as Veltman dove into the crease when he made the shot. 10 minutes to play first half. Rochester by a pair. Teat on the far side now for Jacobs. Jacobs winding it up, and the bounce shot goes high off the end boards. Bullen trying to knock people down, doesn't see the ball, and it's grabbed by Molosky, but there's a whistle. Ladiseur shoving with Dwayne Jacobs. And Rusty Kruger comes in there. Rusty Kruger is 5'8", 175, and Dan Ladiseur is 6'6", 250. Good thing they're going to sort this out with a bit of a break. 4-2, Rochester with the lead.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
You can get whatever you want on AOL Canada. My wife has been wanting a dog for 2 years. I don't have a lot of time. We can't go traveling to kennels. So we found her online, and she's beautiful.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
With a CD stereo, upgraded wheels, and a new 5-speed Getrag transmission.
Excuse me? You dropped your earring. Hey! Hi!
The Chevrolet Cavalier Coupe 2000 package for 1.9% purchase financing or $188 a month and more features than ever.
It's wonderful to be online. I tell all my friends that we've enjoyed AOL Canada ever since we've been on it. People shouldn't be afraid of new technology. Everybody should try it.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
Welcome back to Maple Leaf Gardens. 4-2 Rochester Knighthawks assistant coach Robert McCready. It's going to go a long way to take this crowd out of today's game, but you've got off to the start you've wanted.
Great. Both goalies are playing great, and that's what's going to decide it. Bobby Watson and Patty O'Toole, they're just playing superb. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I believe.
Well, the Rochester defense as well have done a great job of keeping their top guns out of it. Glenn Clark and Jim Veltman the only scorers, so the game plan going according to plan.
Right. Everything's going according to oil.
All right. Best of luck, Robert. Thanks for this. This has been a Molson Export Bench Report. Joe, back up to you.
Buff McCready working along with Tim Cinnebox and Tom Hemmick for head coach Paul Day. And Jack Heyman, the equipment manager, was out fixing Patty O'Toole's shin pad. As we get a look at some of the action in front of the net prior to this inbounding of the ball. Here's Powell going wide and back of the net. Powell trying to launch it in with one hand as he was taken down in front of the net by Graham, and the ball smothered by Bob Watson. Quickly ahead it comes now for Colin Doyle, and the Rock have got to get some offense going here. They've scored short-handed and one even-strength goal. Pass for Squire did not work. Steve Toll sets things up outside. Rod Squire to Colin Doyle. With Kim Squire, the pass and a shot is scooped up there by O'Toole. Some of the fans thought that had gotten in behind him. Quickly brought back by Reggie Thorpe. 5-year veteran dishes it off. Want to welcome all of those watching on Empire Sports down in the Rochester and New York area. The Nighthawks leading 4-2. A shot scooped up there by Watson. Long outlet pass out of the reach of Doyle, but he runs after it. Tried to get a shot away and is tackled from behind by Dan Teeth. And Colin Doyle may have had his air tanks blown right out for him there as he landed on that hard floor.
He needs a break after that sprint.
There's no gliding in lacrosse.
Oh.
Harrison. Shot scores! Dan Stroop. For the first time, Pat O'Toole, I think, made a mistake. He went down rather prematurely there, and Stroop fired it over his shoulder. The lecture is over, and the goal will stand. Dan Stroop scores it.
You're right, and I think O'Toole was guessing on this one. You can't see from this angle. But sometimes, and all good goalies do it, they might guess or take percentages of where the shots are going to go, and I think Stroop caught O'Toole leaning the wrong way on this one.
Dan Stroop was second in scoring to Chris Gill with 29 goals in the regular year. That's his third of the postseason. And the scramble is on for the loose ball that is controlled by Jeremy Holenbeck. The Syracuse native brings it up now for Tim Soudan.
And we heard assistant coach Buff McCready saying that the goaltending is going to play a big part of this game. He was a great goalie himself back with the Toronto Tomahawks.
Shot hit the goal post from Grant. Rebound controlled with a fresh 30, so they say Watson got a piece. Here's Soudan with it again. Outside shot hammered and collected there with a diving play by Casey Powell to try to get possession. Out come Toronto, led by Pat Coyle. He'll go to the bench as it's dished off for Chris Gill. Gill now setting it up with Stroop. He and Stroop work so well together. And Doyle, and here's Gill through. Diving through, but he was in the cold crease, says the referee. Bill Fox calling it. And so play goes now to the Rochester Nighthawks. Tim Soudan. Gill and Harrison draw assists on the goal by Dan Stroop. It is 4-3. Bomback with a hard shot, and that was stopped by Watson. Loose ball controlled in front, still free on the carpet, rolled wide, and Glenn Clark has some room and brings it up as Ladouceur and Bomberry are tangled up, throwing elbows, and front end smashes. Play on, says the official.
Oh, that's the way they should be doing it.
If this is your first experience of National Lacrosse League action, and a penalty coming here to the Nighthawks as it's scooped up by O'Toole, you may wonder if there are such things as rule books. At times you would say no.
Exactly, but they're just calling one here. And I think they felt it was a little too aggressive on the defense.
Bomberry going to the box.
Check up high.
Third power play of the game for Toronto.
You're going to see Bomberry just flatten some. There you go. Flatten Squire. And that's not actually, it's hard to tell, but it's not allowed when a guy doesn't have the ball to flatten him like that.
8:17 the time of the penalty here in the second quarter. Third power play of the game for Toronto. Caleb Toth, who has a great outside shot.
And they got to start getting the ball to him on the power play because they haven't been too effective in their last power play.
Squire into traffic. Toth tried to step around, and the shot, and a good save by O'Toole. Nice move by Caleb Toth, but O'Toole stood his ground and made the save.
And Rochester led the league in shorthanded goals this year with 18. So Toronto's got to be aware of that and get back fast. I saw Pat McCready taking off as soon as that shot was taken.
Casey Powell, who had such a terrific career, NCAA Player of the Year at the University of Syracuse in '98 before turning pro.
And he'll get better. He's still learning this game.
Yeah, he broke all of the Gate brothers records while there. Looking for Powell, hauling back. Oh my! Pat Coyle said you're not taking another step towards the front of the crease, and Hollenbach paid with a terrific hit there from Pat Coyle. 4-3 Rochester. 58 seconds on the power play. Kim Squire trying to get even here. Outside in for Toll. Caleb Toth, but what a play by Kim Squire.
That was a beautiful play. And this one is a setup play. They're playing catch. Doyle and Squires, and everybody forgets Toth, who just sneaks in right there. And that's all because you see these two guys playing catch. The defense shifts. He's allowed to sneak in. But it was a great fake on the finish.
Here's another chance in front. Squire sends it over top of the goal. Coyle couldn't corral the rebound and is heading to the bench. Bullen hustling on. Rochester coming back as the power play goal, the first of the game for Toronto, ties the game at 4.
And up to that point, the power play had been very ineffective.
Casey Powell with the ball. Now to John Grant, moving in. Shot, score, no, waved off. In the crease, says the official. John Grant twice has had goals called back for stepping into the crease.
In fact, I think he said Kurt Malowski was standing in the crease on that one. There's been a few goals called back.
So it is a 4-4 tie. Glenn Clark heading to the bench, and a change of players coming for Toronto as Squire is on. Toll to Colin Doyle, in for Squire, and he just missed that. Back in for Doyle, scores! Holy mackerel, what a nice play that was! And the Toronto Rock, for the first time since the opening goal, lead in the game, 5-4.
Colin Doyle's had some of his biggest games against these guys. First you see this nice pass. It didn't go anywhere. Well, watch what he does with his stick on this. He switches hands. Here you're going to see the goal by Grant just a few seconds earlier that didn't count. And I think this didn't count because Malowski here was standing in the crease.
Now a break for Veltman. Off the top of the goal. Doyle with his third from Toll and Toth. Sounds like a law firm. 10:28. And it's 5-4 Toronto, and a big momentum swing here on 3 straight Toronto Rock goals in the second period. Ball's on the carpet, and Patty Coyle, having a strong first half, scoops it up, gets it ahead for Stroop, and Toll now into the corner. Rock setting it up outside with Chris Gill. Loose in front, Stroop! Stop! Dan Stroop was running out of moves and couldn't keep his balance outside.
I don't think he knew what to do without getting hammered there. He couldn't believe he had so much time. But somebody missed an assignment on that one. And this is what...
Rochester back. Chance inside. Stopped by Watson. Loose ball on the floor. And And Glenn Clark has it.
Now this is what the Rochester coaching staff doesn't want. But the excitement in the crowd, he wants the team to get their composure back.
3 goals in 3 minutes and 56 seconds for Toronto in that span. And the Rock are back in business here in the offensive end of the floor with 3:08 to go in the period. Loose the front, scores! Kim Squire! Kim Squire makes it 4 in a row and a 2-goal lead.
It looks like Rochester's actually setting up a zone. You see they got 4 guys and 1 guy in the middle. Kim Squire cuts through. He gets the pass, and he has no choice except to take a backhand, and beautiful shot.
Here's Squire, Roddy Squire. He shot it over top of the goal. And Rochester coming apart here. Kim Squire with his 3rd goal of the postseason.
And Rochester might be wise to call a timeout right now because they seem to have lost all composure.
Here's Pat Coyle. Oh, he threw a dandy little elbow there. Now looking to dish it up, and here is Terry Bullen. Jim Veltman trying to get back onto the floor. Coyle, oh, he threw an awful shot there at Tim Sudan.
And I think
Pat Coyle's going to the penalty box.
I think he got caught that time.
Well, another look at this hit for the loose ball.
Oh, no mistake there.
That's ever happened to me.
You know I'm married to Ken.
No, I don't believe you. I was in a coma when you say you got married.
Chick, don't do that.
Paige, please.
If you love playoff hockey, you'll love Star Choice. We guarantee you'll see all the conference final and Stanley Cup games. It's part of our programming promise. Star Choice. It's your television.
How can you be such an ice queen?
Huh? Ice? What? Is the game on?
Toronto with 2:31 left in the second quarter, and today's Rock broadcast brought to you in part by Yamaha, exceeding expectations, and by Midas, car care the way it should be. Power play for Rochester, and a big one here, I think, to try to switch momentum, Brian.
Oh, exactly. They got to try to kill the momentum that Toronto's got.
Sudan throws the ball away, and they're going to be fortunate to get it back. John Grant motioning to take your time, settle things down. Here's Sudan again. Errant pass went off the official. Ladouceur trying to block things. Sudan out in front, shot it high and wide. Ladouceur hacking and whacking, and Terry Bullen gets the benefit of the time run out, and it will be Toronto ball as Glenn Clark will move to it. Minute and a half to go in the power play. Veltman bringing the ball up the floor for Toronto. The Rock have scored 4 unanswered goals. And one of them was shorthanded, at least one of their 6 was shorthanded. Scored in the first period. Gill getting a pick from Colin Doyle, tried to get the pick and roll play to go. Then the pass in for Doyle was high, and it is a time violation. And so with 1:03 to go in the power play, Rochester back to the attack. Brad MacArthur, born in Wallaceburg, now lives in Rochester, New York, heading on. And Casey Powell will organize things with John Grant. Shot stopped by Watson, and that big stick is there to smother. Bob Watson looks for Veltman, then sends a long lead pass for Clark, who decoyed Bomberry rather nicely there to get to it. Sometimes you got to look it off and pretend that it's not coming.
That's exactly what these guys do. They're not eyeballing the ball all the way into the stick.
Kim Squire. The defender's playing the man, and he's looking for the long pass. Shot scores! Kim Squire from well out, short-handed, and it's 5 in a row. Second consecutive goal for Squire, his 4th of the playoffs.
This is the second questionable goal that maybe O'Toole should have had, but it's through a screen. A great screen, actually. Nice bounce shot to the right side. And Squire really set up that screen beautifully.
Kim Squire, just 19 years of age, 5'8" and 155 pounds of nothing but determination. He has come back from a broken ankle sustained early in the season and has lit the offense since his return. Langdale and Toll with the assist. Mearns as Coyle is back onto the floor.
Whoa.
Bullen comes up a little limping. Shot is stopped. Loose ball. Ladouceur's trying to hatch it. And he has it underneath him, but it's going to be Rochester ball. Terry Bullen.
He got hit by that shot from John Grant, and he's hurting. But he wants to see where John Grant goes before he decides where he's going off the floor.
Here's a look at it.
To your left of your screen, you're going to see Bullen right here. The shot right on his leg. And that hurt. But he got up pretty quick.
Paul Day trying to rally the troops who have seen 5 straight Toronto Rock goals erase a 4-2 Rochester advantage. And Terry Bullen, the big guy on defense, has played well in the back end for Toronto, but he's chipped in with some timely goals as well. 36 years of age, is a teacher at Aurelia Park Street School. Man Cups with the Brooklyn Redmen, previously played with the Detroit Turbos, and he's the guy, the glue back there. He's the guy that everybody looks to. Coyle gets all the big hits, but Bullen is really the guy that kind of anchors it.
And you know what? And he's a great leader, and at this stage in his career, he doesn't care if he never scores a goal again. And that's what you need. Some guys out there, he's not playing to get any goals.
He had 2 during the regular season.
And Grant is getting frustrated with him. You know guys getting frustrated when they're giving the slashes and the pushes after the offense changes.
10 seconds left in the half, and an errant pass is on the carpet. Back for Sudan, too far. 3 seconds left. Can have a shot to the... What a great attempt by Jim Veltman. He knew the time was running out. What a great effort by the captain, Jim Veltman. Last year at halftime, the Rock led 7-5. This year, as they head to their respective dressing rooms, the score from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto is 7-4. Look at the effort by Jim Veltman.
And you're right, Joe. He looked up at the clock and saw that he'd have about a second or so left when he got it. Didn't waste any time.
What an effort. And just missed the net. Jim Veltman coming off, and let's go downstairs now with our Paul Hendrick.
Well, thank you, Joe. We're joined by John Grant Jr. from the Rochester Knighthawks. John, what happened in the second quarter to shift momentum as drastically as it did?
I don't know. We had some power play opportunities, and we didn't capitalize, and they got some breakaway goals and some other shorthanded goals, and you just can't let that happen in a championship game. So we're going to have to get in there and start thinking about playing our game.
You've had a couple of goals called back. It's been a frustrating start, in part, for the Rochester Knighthawks so far.
Yeah, we expected the calls to be going against us because, I mean, in front of the home crowd, I mean, it always happens here, so it's not an excuse. We're going to come out in the second half and hopefully play a little better.
Physical first half of play. How difficult has it been trying to penetrate that Toronto defense for you forwards?
I mean, they got some big boys in there, but it's not a question of how good they're playing. I just don't think we're playing our game right now.
All right, thank you, John. Best of luck in the second half. John Grant Jr. of the Rochester Knighthawks, and the Knighthawks head back to the dressing room to regroup. Our halftime show live from Maple Leaf Gardens will continue in a moment.
The four-door Cavalier now comes with air conditioning, ABS, and four-speed automatic. With enhanced traction control. The Chevrolet Cavalier 2000 value package. More features than ever. 1.9% purchase financing or $218 a month.
I'm a busy person. I don't have a whole lot of spare time in the day. Banking online is incredibly convenient. I log on to AOL Canada, a couple of clicks, and you're there. You don't have to keep banker's hours.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
YZF-R series. No compromise.
I write fiction, I write horror, I edit Northern Fusion magazine. I think AOL Canada makes that very exciting and very easy for me to do without having to have a lot of expertise. I can focus on my craft.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
I'm Darren Millard, a big believer that playoff performance should be considered when voting on the NHL Coach of the Year. It's not. All ballots were submitted 3 weeks ago, which means the first-round exit by St. Louis will not have an impact. So was Joe Quenneville's 114 points better than those who had success while dealing with injuries, like Elaine Vigneault and Pacific Division champion Ken Hitchcock from Dallas? Our puck poll wants you to name the Jack Adams winner. We have the results in the Hockey News on Monday.
David, Steve, trying to work it out in front. Here's a chance. Matt Selzak scores! It's over! It's over! It's over!
For over 80 years, teams and players have battled with pride and passion in this uniquely Canadian springtime tournament. 4 teams face off with one goal in mind, to be the best. The 2000 Memorial Cup. Live coverage begins May 20th on CTV Sportsnet. Game day, every day.
Our score at halftime of the make it 2000 National Lacrosse League Championship game. The Toronto Rock 7, the Rochester Knighthawks 4, and this sets up our Chevy Trucks halftime report, brought to you, of course, by Chevy Trucks, like a rock. And like a rock as well would describe Colin Doyle. 1 goal and 1 assist for the Toronto Rock so far in this first half. And prior to the commercial break, we're talking to you, Colin, about what it is like out there. This is as hot as it gets.
It's like playing in the summer league almost. So, I mean, a lot of the guys out here are used to it. But, you know, you got to play through the elements. And I think we're in a little bit better shape than them. So hopefully third and fourth quarters, we can pull away from them.
We talked with John Grant Jr. about the shift in momentum going from Rochester to Toronto after that first quarter of play. Your assessment and what changed things?
Progressively through the year, our second quarters have gotten better. Starting of the year, we played really poorly in the second quarter, and we ended up losing a few of those games. But in our last little streak of 6 or 7 games, we've really been playing well and taking it to other teams. So hopefully we can play like we do in the third and fourth quarter, and the second is behind us, and we played well.
Well, as tough as things looked at one point down 4-2, the Rock have proven, at least in the last few weeks, that they've had the resiliency to come back. And to every man, you've all known that.
Yeah, that's the signs of a great team, I think, of hopefully a championship team. I mean, the guys on our team never get down. We get down 1 or 2 goals, and it just gets louder on the bench, and you hear our fans get behind us. So playing from behind is a great sign, like I said, of a championship team, and we've been doing that all the way throughout the playoffs and the last half of the season. So, you know, that's nothing new to us, and we're a strong team. We'll play through that.
I thought Rochester did a great job, at least in the first quarter, keeping the Toronto's top guns off the scoreboard. That changed in the second quarter. Defensively, Toronto has kept John Grant Jr. and Casey Powell, and, well, Tim Soudan's got a pair, but at least for the most part, those first 2 off the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's a big part of our game plan. We've got to keep Johnny off the board. He's a great lacrosse player, along with Dewey Jacobs and Rusty Kruger. So we keep those guys down to you know, a goal a game. We should beat this team.
Feeling inside the dressing room, and we're going to head there in moments. Obviously, there's no room for overconfidence. I guess just keep it up.
Definitely not. We all know that. We've been here before. We've just got to play like pluggers, like we do, like plumbers, and do what we do best, and that's playing hard and playing with confidence. And there's no doubt that the spirits are high in there, but you know, it's not over yet.
30 minutes away from a second consecutive National Lacrosse League Championship. Quickly, a quick hello.
I'd like to say hello to the boys at Filthy McNasty's in Waterloo. We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, the score at halftime, 7-4. Thank you, Colin Doyle. The Toronto Rock on top. We'll be back with more of our halftime show after this.
If you're looking for horsepower, look at Chevy Silverado. Because Silverado has the most powerful V8 of any 4x4 pickup. More powerful than Dodge, more powerful than Ford, 300 horsepower. That's why it's the truck. Silverado from Chevy.
You can get whatever you want on AOL Canada. My wife has been wanting a dog for 2 years. I don't have a lot of time. We can't go traveling to kennels. So we found her online, and she's beautiful.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
It's wonderful to be online. I tell all my friends that we've enjoyed AOL Canada ever since we've been on it. People shouldn't be afraid of new technology. Everybody should try it.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
Paige, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me.
You know I'm married to Ken.
No, I don't believe you. I was in a coma when you say you got married.
Chip, don't do that.
Paige, please.
If you love playoff hockey, you'll love Star Choice. We guarantee you'll see all the conference final and Stanley Cup games. It's part of our programming promise. Star Choice. It's your television.
How can you be such an ice queen?
Huh? Ice? Well, is the game on?
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
The Toronto Rock anticipating a second straight National Lacrosse League Championship. We're live inside the Toronto Rock dressing room, and if you thought it was hot out there, it is certainly hot and steamy inside, and of course responsible for some of that. Pat Coyle, a prime defender, and you've been playing your typical physical game, but the officials perhaps trying to take some of that away from you.
Yeah, I think just as much as some of the times a player goes out and gets a little excited in a championship game, I think the ref does too, and you know, I'm sure I deserved a couple of those calls, but I don't feel like I did, you know, maybe the other two, but I mean, I got to stay out of the box.
But still no reason to change your game plan. How do you find that fine line, Pat, of staying out of the box but still playing the way you like to play?
I don't know, you know, maybe just turn it down just a notch, you know, maybe I just get a little too aggressive. I was a little too pumped at the beginning, so just refocus and realize that just because it's a championship game, it's still a game, you know, and just focus on what I got to do.
Things have certainly tightened up from a Rochester perspective of them trying to come up your middle, you and Terry, and of course the rest of the guys have done a great job in that, but still focus in trying to get that fast break going. There have been a few open men downfield.
For us, yeah, definitely. You know, Glenn Clark is one of the best I've seen at that lately, where I think he just has a lot of faith in us that we're going to come up with that loose ball, and he takes off. And you know, I think they've got 5 offensive players that really focus on the ball a lot. You know, so I mean, we can really transition if we can get at it. But I mean, it's hot out there and it's tiring, so it's hard to keep this pace up.
About an hour to go. Best of luck, and thanks for this, Pat.
Thanks, Paul.
Pat Coyle, defender for the Toronto Rock. Let's send it upstairs to Joe Bowen and Brian Shanahan.
Thanks very much, Paul. Well, it is hot and steamy up here as well as that Toronto Rock and certainly the Rochester Knighthawks dressing room, but it was an exciting first half of play, some great physical action and some great goals. And Dwayne Jacobs got the Knighthawks off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, Jacobs has got 3 points already. He's got a goal and a couple assists. Here he's going to give a nice pass to Tim Soudan, who's going to cut through. So you're going to see on the left-hand side of the screen, Soudan cutting through for a second goal. Just 5-hole there on Bobby Watson.
And they led 4-2 and scored their 5th goal early on in the play, and then things turned around maybe with that hit.
Well, Pat Coyle has been playing physical, and he did say he thinks the referees are getting a little bit excited. And what I will agree is that a lot of his penalties are deserved, but the referees definitely have the spotlight on him today. Here we're going to see a beautiful short-handed goal by Kim Squires. And this is the one thing that's really helped Toronto. They've had 5 power play goals, Rochester has, and Toronto's got 2 short-handed goals against 1 power play.
So despite the fact that the Knighthawks have scored just once on the power play, 2 short-handed goals from Toronto, they played well defending, and they have been physical, and now they have a 7-4 lead to carry to the second half. Should be interesting.
Yep, almost like it was last year. 7-5 going in the second half last year. See what Toronto can do.
All right, Rock fans of all ages are here in shapes and sizes as the Toronto Rock lead after the half at Maple Leaf Gardens 7-4.
Please welcome back
Hey, I'm not a lumberjack or a fur trader, and I don't live in an igloo or eat blubber or own a dog sled. I have a prime minister, not a president. I can proudly sew my country's flag on my backpack. I believe in peacekeeping, not policing. Diversity, not assimilation. And that the beaver is a truly proud and noble animal. A toque is a hat. A Chesterfield is a coach. And it is pronounced Z, not Z. Canada is the second largest landmass, the first nation of hockey, and the best part of North America. My name is Joe, and I am Canadian.
Now you can show your true colors. Look inside specially marked cases of Molson Canadian for one of 4 IM beer items. Must be legal drinking age, no product purchase necessary.
I'm a busy person. I don't have a whole lot of spare time in the day. Banking online is incredibly convenient. I log on to AOL Canada, a couple of clicks, and you're there. You don't have to keep banker's hours.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
If you think all ATVs are created equal, you've never ridden a Yamaha. The new Kodiak 400 Automatic and Big Bear 400 from Yamaha. 'Cause out here, bears rule.
I write fiction, I write horror, I edit Northern Fusion magazine. I think AOL Canada makes that very exciting and very easy for me to do without having to have a lot of expertise. I can focus on my craft.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
Teams are coming back onto the floor here at Maple Leaf Gardens with the Toronto Rock holding a 7-4 lead at the half in the National Lacrosse League Championship Final. Terry Bullen coming back onto the floor. And Brian Shanahan, since your hands were made out of concrete, you have the all-defensive team here to think about the way you played as well.
Yeah, and we got a few guys back from last year. Pat Coyle and Terry Bullen, no question, they're on that team. We got Reggie Thorpe, who's been pretty quiet out here so far today from Rochester. Steve Fennell from Albany. The new guy out here is Andy Ogilvie on Buffalo, who did a great job on their defense of a really offensive team, and Bobby Watson. And here you see the all-pro teams, Joe. A few guys playing out here tonight.
And obviously they don't get nearly as much recognition as your all-defensive team.
That's right. It's easy to get in the all-pro team.
Yeah,
They're getting on the defensive team's another story.
It's like the all-Madden team in football as we take a look at the first half stats.
And there's the key ones, Joe. The loose balls and the short-handed goals. And this is where Toronto is dominating, and the short-handed goals especially. Short-handed goals here, especially, that is a key. They've got 2 short-handed goals against 4 power plays.
The shots on goal, as you see, favoring Toronto 32-23. And Jim Veltman has been ahead of his loose ball best. And what a great effort he made in the dying seconds to try and throw one into the empty net with that man, Pat O'Toole, on the bench for a sixth attacker. And he ran out of time and just missed as he literally threw his body into making that shot. Here we go to start the second half. Back to retrieve it is Mike Hazen. Went to Brock University, Hazen did. And it's quickly brought up the floor now by Casey Zaff. Zaff sending it over on the far side for Bomberry, looking inside for Jacobs, and he misfired on the pass. And there's Scoop Veltman with another loose ball.
Jacobs was really open on that play, and this is sometimes a problem when you're trying to get key matchups. You're looking for John Grant, and somebody gets left open. That's what happened there.
Veltman setting it up for Kim Squire, who scored twice to end the first half. Now looking for the hat trick and underhanded it wide. Toll with time running out. A pass inside, but unable to handle it cleanly was Chris Langdale, who was taken down anyway. We went quite a stretch, 5 minutes and 5 seconds to start the game without a goal. Brad MacArthur gets away from traffic but loses the ball. And now trying to one-hand it up the floor. Toll, but he's being surrounded and finally gets it outlet. And here's Glenn Clark coming up. Pickering native to Terry Bullen. Bullen sends it cross floor, and Caleb Toth will settle things down offensively with a dozen seconds left on the shot clock. Off the bench, Roddy Squire. Fake the shot, trying to get around Grant. Toth from outside. Oh, he's got a bullet, but that one was wide, and it'll run over the timeline before the time clock violation is made. Molson Export Rock Lacrosse, brought to you in part this afternoon by Molson Export. Rock this.
See, Terry Bullen's waving for help here. He wants to make sure that John Grant's not going to isolate him.
The pass on the carpet. Bullen lost it. Chance now for Kruger, but he couldn't handle it. That ball's still on the floor, and so is John Grant Jr. Graham looking to get away from Bomberry's checking. Finds Pat Coyle. Coyle will settle things down. He wants somebody to come out and take the ball from him as he heads to the defensive door. Kim Squire into the offense. Colin Doyle with the ball. Kim Squire on the give and go. Doyle couldn't find him. Now tries to move outside and flipped it back in for Squire, but the ball is turned over to Rochester. Pat McCready and Casey Zaff bringing the ball up now for the Nighthawks, who have given up 5 consecutive goals after leading 4-2 to start the second period. Pass too high for Casey Powell. Graham trying to use the sideboards but couldn't contain his man. Now gets a nice pick, and the shot was well wide of the net. Jeremy Hollenbeck sent it wide as Grant set up a beautiful pick for him. Hollenbeck can't handle the ball, and it's going to go over and back.
There was 2 shots there that were 3 feet wide. Here you're going to see, you're going to wonder why opposition doesn't go for loose balls against Toronto. Well, look at the convergence here. 4 guys fighting for it. And this is one thing that Toronto does so well. They don't spread out their defense too much so they can help each other out.
If you want to go for the loose ball, you have to pay a substantial price. And some people aren't prepared to pay that price. They still like to have most of their teeth in their mouth when the game's over. Harrison. Shot was deflected in front of the net, and then Harrison got tangled up there with Mike Hazen. Did that hit Dan Stroop in front of the net? He's limping a little bit towards the bench.
Stroop is limping off the bench as well.
Hazen and Bomberry organizing the attack for Rochester. 11.5 minutes to go in the third period. Over top the net, loose ball. This is Dan Teat. Brampton native sets things up. Now for Jacobs, bouncing ball wide. Loose to the side, shoveled over top of the net. Good chance there for Kurt Molosky. who had 22 goals and 51 points in the regular year, but has been held off the score sheet thus far this afternoon.
Rochester has been getting the chances this half. They're just not shooting well.
Chris Langdale with some movement off the bench, and he fired it wide. Rebound will bound to the timeline, and Toll reacted slowly to it, but gets it in for Squire. Now Veltman. He is hit hard in the slot area, and quickly bringing it back is Reggie Thorpe. Thorpe looking around for someone with offensive capacity and finds Casey Powell. Powell being marked here by Steve Toll. Takes it back of the net. Powell fakes the pass. Now finds Mearns. Mearns trying to play it off. He does, and a shot went wide as Jeremy Holenbach got nailed in front, and he's lost most of the harnessing and his helmet. He's got to go to the bench to get readjusted. Pat Coyle again in front of the net.
Yeah, and that was another missed opportunity where the shot didn't even hit the net.
Bomberry, Mearns, smothered by Bob Watson. Glenn Clark bringing it up, and we are approaching 5 minutes without a goal having been scored in the second half. Caleb Toth. Going to be a firefighter out in Calgary, attending school to that end. Stroop trying to get a loose ball to behave. So is Gill. MacArthur after it. Gill gets it free, coming to the front. No, he paid a price there as he was felled by Casey Zapp. 24-year-old Regina native really laid into Chris Gill coming through the goal crease. Here's another look at it. Gill gets airborne, and then he gets crunched.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
You know how you hear some words and you think you've seen them before? Investments. Right. They manage money. Serious. Then you see them again. Performance. Here. There. Not just any mutual fund. Yeah, that's it. Warburg Pincus Mutual Funds. Warburg.com.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
Welcome back to a 7-4 Toronto lead. Casey Powell, what adjustments have to be made to get you guys back into this game? You're not that far out of it.
No, we're not. We have to come out and play hard this quarter. I think this is the big quarter. We're moving the ball a little bit and getting into our line, so we're going to come out and try to run with them. I think we're a better skill team than we just can't make mistakes.
All right, Casey, thanks for this. This has been a Molson Export Bench Report. Joe, it's back up to you.
West Carthage, New York native Casey Powell. Here's Toll. Across the floor. Squire and Doyle behind the back for Langdale. He tried to stay out of the goal crease but couldn't find the ball. It looked like he was a tightrope walk up there going along that line.
That was a beautiful pass by Doyle. I think it even caught Langdale by surprise.
Rochester to the attack. A shot goes wide of the net, and it is going to bound dangerously close to the timeline, but it is Sudan keeping it alive for Grant. Grant, long shot, and oh, he's got a bullet, and that was not touched, and is going to go over and back. Or, no, it's not. No, they say play on. It must have been touched by Watson. Or at least they're saying it was.
I missed something on that one.
Here's Mearns. Trying to get away from Bullen, who has switched off on Grant. The shot is stopped. Grant to the rebound. Bullen with the loose ball. Plays it off on the boards, and now Graham is in trouble, but threw it away. Powell, Grant, nice feed in front, scores! Great passing play. Powell and Grant setting it up on the side, and a nice finish from Jeremy Holenbach.
That play started on a loose ball that was thrown away, but you're going to see great touch by John Grant in front of the net. Now, a loose ball was thrown away. Rochester picks it up, and Grant just a one-touch pass over in front of Kruger, who finishes it off. Watch Grant. He's just going to return this pass to Kruger, who puts it in. It was a nice play on a turnover.
Holenbach from Grant and Powell. 6:49 into the second half before we have the first goal. And nailed from behind, Coyle takes down Reggie Thorpe. And Paddy Coyle's going back from whence he came. Sixth power play for Rochester. And Coyle has been responsible for 5 of those power plays.
And that was just hitting from behind, plain and simple.
Checking from behind, and so Rochester can draw to within 1. Jacobs and Bomberry out top with Grant. Bomberry now to Grant. Blind pass. That was blocked. Loose ball. Corralled by Steve Toll, and he's got great foot speed here against Bomberry, trying to run him down the back so that he couldn't figure out which way he was going to go, and then decided to hold it out. Now here's Danny Stroop. Toll with great foot speed and really had the defender wondering which way he was going to go, but then didn't have enough to get around him as the pass is high for Stroop. Now Stroop with it again, and he is bumped up, and the time runs out. So there is going to be a turnover in all of the power plays this afternoon, brought to you by DeWalt Power Tools. Guaranteed tough.
Now that last power play sequence, John Grant started pulling his men farther and farther away.
Bomberry scores! From well out, Corey Bomberry, who had 17 goals in the regular season, narrows it to 7-6 on the power play.
And Corey Bomberry's a dangerous shooter, and I think what John Grant is starting to do, if they're going to cover him so tight, he might as well pull the defensive players away and open up as much room as possible. You're going to see here that Corey Bomberry just has a good lane. Terry Pullen has too far to get back. His main concern is John Grant Jr., but that's going to leave some openings for some other guys.
So Corey Bomberry has his first of the afternoon and his second of the postseason. And the Nighthawks score back-to-back goals to get right back into this game. Holenbach's second of the postseason. Bomberry's second of the postseason. And this game taking a rather familiar look from last year as Rochester fought back last year to get back into the game. And now a good hit on the far boards, but the ball turned over to Kim Squire. Squire with some nice stick work trying to take it to the net, and that was stopped by O'Toole.
Oh.
And then Colin Doyle fires his man into the goal, and Colin Doyle is going to take a penalty.
That wasn't a wise move by Colin Doyle. There's no way. Here you're going to see the shifty work by Kim Squires going to the net, and he's double teamed here. Still gets a shot away. Now, I don't know how Colin thought he was going to get away with that.
He was upset about something that happened behind the play, I think, and was reacting to it. And as normal, it's the reaction, not the first instigator, that gets the penalty.
And now Toronto's got to get their composure back.
Shot stopped by Watson. Ball in the crease, and Pat Coyle gets it ahead to Jim Veltman. Veltman for Chris Gill. And Chris Gill has been held off the score sheet. And he was Toronto's leading scorer. So we might watch for him to have a big second half. Stroop, 7-6 the lead, favoring Toronto. 5:47 to play, third quarter, and the shot is stopped on the short side by O'Toole. This is Mike Hazen giving it off, and John Grant Jr. bringing it up. And Terry Bullen is coming over to say hello to him.
Grant wants to play the top of the power play this time.
He's got the great outside shot if he gets the chance. Sudan has it blocked, goes to the rebound and shoots wide. Mearns back of the goal. Kruger shoots off a leg wide. And time runs out. Jim Veltman will bring it up with 44 seconds remaining in the power play. Kim Squire. It's been a great game this afternoon. The National Lacrosse League Championship. The Toronto Rock attempting to defend their crown. The Rochester Knighthawks, who have made a living of being in this game, trying to dethrone the champions. A shot goes wide. I want to say a special hello to Charlie Wicks, the 90-year-old father of Ron Wicks, the referee-in-chief, who is getting back up on his feet, and wish him well. Here's Grant. Outside shot. Oh, wow, what a bullet. John Grant fires a bullet over the shoulder of Bob Watson, and the game is tied.
This is why you don't want John Grant to shoot. This is not scoring territory for anybody except for John Grant. You're going to notice Terry Bullen was not on the floor. He got a lot of room there, but Toronto reacted. But he still managed to put it in, and that is a far shot for most people. Most people wouldn't even attempt to shoot from there.
Bombery and Hazen draw the assists. And now we get some shoving in the corner with Bullen in there. And Powell. And it seems to have sorted itself out. And they'll head to the respective benches with 4:21. And here's another look at this great outside shot. Watch him load this up.
He puts a little fake on first. And then just to the top left-hand side. Just a beautiful shot. He didn't have much room, but you got to really respect this guy. You can't give him any shots at all. It's different rules for him.
After a run of 5 for Toronto, Rochester has answered to start the second half with 3 in a row of their own. Stroop being hauled down, and a penalty is coming here to Rochester. Randy Mearns, who played his collegiate lacrosse at Canisius, will go to the penalty box. The game is tied with 4:06 remaining in the third quarter from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
What? Nobody shaves during the playoffs.
It's a Canadian game.
I'm a busy person. I don't have a whole lot of spare time in the day. Banking online is incredibly convenient. I log on to AOL Canada, a couple of clicks, and you're there. You don't have to keep banker's hours.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
Resisted barbarians. Overpowered savages. Thwarted the uncivilized. And that was just on the drive to work. Chevy Blazer. Steel-reinforced double-wall doors. Powerful Vortec engine. A little security in an insecure world. Chevy Blazer, like a rock.
I write fiction, I write horror, I edit Northern Fusion magazine. I think AOL Canada makes that very exciting and very easy for me to do without having to have a lot of expertise. I can focus on my craft.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
This afternoon's Rock broadcast brought to you in part by Chevy Trucks, like a rock, and by Midas, car care the way it should be. This is the fourth power play of the game for Toronto, their first of the second half. They have one goal with the man advantage. Doyle and Squire outside. Squire now for Toth, couldn't get a shot away, but has the ball, and one of the Rochester Knighthawks has lost his stick. Stroop scores! Dan Stroop has his second of the game.
Similar to his last goal, too. I think Pat O'Toole was caught leaning the wrong way on this shot. As you say, Joe, somebody lost a stick here. Pat McCready lost a stick, and I think Toronto knew that, and they wanted to make sure they got a shot away, get in there quickly. Patty O'Toole just caught leaning a little bit to the wrong way on that shot.
So Dan Stroop makes it a 8-7 game. Doyle and Toth with the assists. And this lead is seesawing around. A shot is stopped by Watson. The Rock in control and bringing the ball up the floor. 3:10 to play in the third period. Clark now for Chris Langdale. Langdale captained the Cornell team in '96. Chris Langdale holding the ball. Veltman sets it up from up top, and Kim Squire now trying to get a pick late for him and hits to the net. And that was stopped by the right foot of O'Toole. Quickly brought up the floor again by Rochester. Holenbeck dumps it off, and Jacobs takes charge with Bullen working on him. Now to Kruger, and up at the top, Bomberry's shot went off the head, and a foot race here for Steve Toll. He has got great foot speed. Toll taking to the net. Stopped by O'Toole. He's got the rebound coming out in front, and that's stopped by O'Toole, and he's got it in the stick. Stevie Toll from St. Catharines, Ontario. A great bit of work there.
And it was great work on picking up the rebound, picking up the loose ball there. He went straight to the bench for a well-deserved rest after that sprint.
Grant down low for MacArthur, and knocked down in front was Powell. Play goes on. Ladouceur working on his man, and the ball is turned over and controlled by goaltender Bob Watson. Watson to Clark. Quickly ahead. Good exchange. Toth inside, and the shot by Gillis stopped the rebound. Was in front of the goal, and they're going end-to-end quickly. Brought back up by Randy Mearns. Mearns works to the right side. Mearns, far side. Here's Kruger going to the net, bowling into the goaltender, and a whistle here. And a holding call is coming against Toronto. They're just making the announcement here that despite the move to the Air Canada Centre, there will be no increase in ticket prices next year, which is great news to anyone who's been down to a Toronto Rock game here at Maple Leaf Gardens. And here's the penalty.
Now they call Graham for holding here, and he argues it. I think it was a questionable call.
Graham gets the call. And so the 8th power play of the game for Rochester. They've scored twice with the man advantage, but Toronto has scored 2 shorthanded goals to negate that. Shot deflects off Veltman, and Watson had to make a good play there. Veltman unable to get it away from Tim Soudan. Grant inside, great play, and it is tied at 8. Kurt Molosky gets on the scoreboard, and you can see the Rochester Knighthawks are jubilant about that play as they tie the game at 8.
And that a beautiful play. Another great play by Grant. Everybody is expecting him to shoot. And you're going to see great hands. See Malowski sneak in there. Beautiful play. Everybody's expecting Grant to shoot. You got Malowski right there. Perfect play.
14:07 is the time of the goal. And Kurt Malowski has his first of the postseason. So he was held off the score sheet last week in Buffalo, or 2 weeks ago in Buffalo, and gets his first now.
And that's Grant's 6th point of the night out of 8 goals.
Here they rock back to the attack, now tied 8-8. Harrison. Dean Harrison, all alone, Squire, and that was stopped by O'Toole. Ball on the floor, and Caleb Toth couldn't get it. Squire has it freed. Squire to Harrison, and has time run out? A timeout has been called by the Toronto Rock as we get Stroop jousting a little bit with Casey Zaft down in the Rochester end. 21.6 seconds left in the quarter, and they're going to talk it over and maybe utilize a set play here with possibly Watson being out of the goal.
Definitely, Joe, definitely with Watson out of the goal.
Paul Day discussing the turnaround that his Rochester team has manufactured in the second half, and Les Bartley doing likewise.
Here's another look at this last goal again. And when John, you could shoot as well as John Grant. Everybody's watching for you, even on the long shots. But Malowski sneaks in there. Nobody's paying attention. And watch the finish on this. That's the equivalent to a one-timer in hockey. Call it a quick stick.
Well, that's a one-timer, and it's just terrific hand-eye coordination from both Grant and Malowski to finish it off.
That doesn't work unless Grant sells everybody on the shot. Grant pulls the goalie out. He pulls the defenders out.
The Rock going with 6 attackers with 21.6 seconds left and a fresh 30 on the shot clock. So they'll take it down to get the last shot with 2 or 3 seconds remaining in the third period. 8-8 is our score. Caleb Toth being forced. Now dishes it off. Doyle, other side. Squire. Gill is felled from behind with 2.1 seconds remaining. And Doyle quickly to the bench. Now is it Toronto ball? It is Toronto ball. Doyle thought he had to get Watson back into the play. Now he comes back off the bench and gets a shot at the net. And that was stopped by O'Toole. Well, we've got a quarter and maybe more to go in the National Lacrosse League Championship game this afternoon in steamy Maple Leaf Gardens. Bob Whipper-Watson and Patty O'Toole have been outstanding in goal, as at the end of 3 periods, the score is Rochester 8, Toronto 8.
So what's on for today?
Boss wants you, me, and Charlie to take the new Silverado and move them bales.
Is that Charlie?
Chevy Silverado has the most powerful V8 of any 4x4 pickup.
Then we gotta water the herd.
300 horses make it more powerful.
If there's any daylight left, we'll take Norm up to see the ladies.
More powerful than Ford and Dodge. That's why it's the truck. Silverado from Chevy.
Well, guess that's enough for today.
You're the best thing that's ever happened to me.
You know I'm married to Ken.
No, I don't believe you. I was in a coma when you say you got married.
Chick, don't do this.
Paige, please.
If you love playoff hockey, you'll love Star Choice. We guarantee you'll see all the conference final and Stanley Cup games. It's part of our programming promise. Star Choice. It's your television.
How can you be such an ice queen?
Huh? Ice? What? Is the game on?
You can get whatever you want on AOL Canada. My wife has been wanting a dog for 2 years. I don't have a lot of time. We can't go traveling to kennels. So we found her online, and she's beautiful.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
Yamaha YZF-R series. No compromise.
It's wonderful to be online. I tell all my friends that we've enjoyed AOL Canada ever since we've been on it. People shouldn't be afraid of new technology. Everybody should try it.
With all new pricing, including unlimited use, you can stay online as long as you want.
The boys of summer are here. Catch the Jays as they try to make the 2000 season one to remember. Sportsnet's double play combo of Rod Black and Joe Carter give you insight and analysis for 33 regular season games. Tune into Sportsnet as the Jays try and soar above the competition in the toughest division in baseball. Toronto Blue Jays Baseball on CTV Sportsnet. Game day, every day.
We're going to miss this old barn going to the Air Canada Centre next year. We won't miss the heat that we're having here, but we're going to miss the beer garden, and that's what's going on behind one of the nets.
Joe, that young man looked a little bit like you.
Yeah, just a bit. Here's a chance for Casey Powell. Taking it to the net behind the back shot, and it bounced wide. And it will be Toronto ball as we start the fourth period. The game is tied 8-8, and this is the way it should be as we get a look at Casey Powell.
I'm sure this is a move that he's picked up from John Grant. Close.
Shot stopped by O'Toole. A Rock back on the attack. Chris Langdale into the corner. Now looking for Doyle in front, and on the carpet, scooped away there by Kim Squire, but it is controlled by Tim Sudan. The 9-year veteran gets it ahead, a chance, and now for Hollenbach, and he shot it wide. Sudan with the rebound, faked the shot against Ladouceur. Back it goes to Hazen as the Rochester Knighthawks will quickly change to offensive players. Hollenbach with a great chance. Kruger gets knocked down. Ladouceur chasing his man, then blocked the shot, and then the referee got in the way. And there's an injured player down in the corner, or at least a couple of players tangled up. Pat Coyle getting up and limping a little bit as he heads back to the Toronto Rock bench.
They'll need him the rest of the way. You're going to see Pat Coyle in the corner with his buddy Rusty Kruger. These guys played together in the summer, and it looks like he twisted his ankle there.
He's the type of guy that if you tore his arm off and started beating him over the head with a wet end, he'd still come back and play.
And it looks like
he's gone down the hall to try and walk off.
He's walking it off exactly, Joe. We'll see him back, guaranteed.
Teat with the ball. Dan Teat, Brampton native, went to Conestoga College. And now Bomberry setting up the offense. This is Dwayne Jacobs, and it's stopped by Bob Watson. And we're still tied at 8. In the Toronto Rocks victory in the semifinal, they exploded in the fourth period with 3 straight goals against Philadelphia. The ball is free, and here is Harrison. Rod Squire, Gill, shot wide. He's been kept off the score sheet by the Knighthawks. Time running out. Hard shot goes wide. It bounded onto the back of the net. Bomberry bringing it back. And now Casey Powell with the ball. John Grant Jr. loads it up, and that shot is scooped wide of the net by Watson. Powell in the corner. Fresh 30 on the clock, though. Powell out to the top, being harassed by Graham. Gets a pick from Hollenbach. In now for Mearns. Chance to shoot, and it's stopped and smothered by Bobby Watson.
The Rochester players were running some great interference, trying to make room for John Grant.
Lead pass for Clark. Doyle trying to run a pick there on Reggie Thorpe and took a heck of a whack, and Thorpe's going to take a penalty for it. Kim Squire with the net now empty and an extra attacker on the floor. Veltman gets it back, fakes the shot, going wide, sends it over top, and as it is touched by Hazen, here's the call. It's a slash. Doyle tried to sit the pick, and Reggie Thorpe of Elbridge, New York, who went to Syracuse University, gave him a pretty good shot.
And Reggie wants to have a discussion with Fox before he goes in the penalty box.
This is the 5th power play of the game for Toronto.
Just to your after screen, Pat Coyle's, or Colin Doyle's giving a little pick, and we actually just missed it. Reggie gave him a little slash.
Now the equipment manager of the Toronto Rock, Tim Large, is coming out to help Bob Watson with a piece of his equipment. Those things are held together with binder twine and duct tape most nights.
More often than not, this is just an unofficial timeout.
All right. Well, as we take a look at Les Bartley getting set for the final 12 minutes and 11 seconds. Today's Rock broadcast is brought to you in part by Yamaha, exceeding expectations. And by Molson Export. Rock this. Bobby Watson getting set down to our left. He's a machine operator. First team All-Pro this year. He was on the second team a year ago. Doyle on the power play. Minute 52 to go in it. Toth and Stroop exchanging on the far side. Bad pass, but gobbled up by Gill. Now to Doyle. Fakes and shoots, and that almost surprised O'Toole, as it didn't have an awful lot of mustard on it, but came through a big maze of players. Quickly come the Rochester Knighthawks back to the attack, shorthanded. Powell. Minute 27 to go in the power play, and a dozen seconds left on the shot clock. Sudan forcing things inside to give Powell an avenue, and he scores! Casey Powell, a short-handed goal, and it is 9-8 Rochester.
This is similar to Kim Squire's short-handed goal in the first half, and all it is, Casey Powell is going to just wait for a screen. He's looking for the guys in front. Nice screen, nice outside shot.
3:34 is the time of the goal for Casey Powell, who gets his first of the game and his second of the postseason. Hollenbeck and Hazen get the assists. And it is a 9-8 Rochester lead, the first lead they've had since the end of the start of the second quarter. Kim Squire, Colin Doyle, Kim Squire, shot, and that went off the arm of goaltender Patty O'Toole. Doyle has it, and a fresh 30's on the clock. Squire, outside, great pass for Stroop, and a huge save made by O'Toole. Stroop again to Doyle. Squire, inside, trying to get it is Gill, and he's shot wide. Has the rebound and is tackled by Mike Hazen. Play on, they say. Shot goes wide. Rebound will bound to the timeline. Today's Rock broadcast brought to you in part by Chevy Trucks, like a rock. 10:39 to go.
And I think Malowski was trying to draw a penalty there, but he didn't realize it was referee Ravery that knocked him down.
Had the wrong color jersey. 9-8 Rochester, fourth quarter. Powell holding the ball as a lot of action goes on down below him. Now Powell trying to find a loose man in front, and goaltender Watson has secured it and looks for the long outlet pass. Good received there by Toll. Toll across the ice now. Shot scores! Caleb Toll! This game is tied 9-9.
You're going to see the transition here. Bob Watson throws the ball up the floor. Now Toronto doesn't quite have a 2-on-1, but a very good play here. Toll waits for the trailer, who's Caleb Toth. Good finish on the short side.
Second of the game and third of the postseason. And no question that stamina and conditioning are going to play a factor here in the fourth period as we are tied 9-9. And there's no quit in anyone on either bench. Rod Squire bringing it up. This has been a tremendous afternoon of entertainment at Maple Leaf Gardens. Shot scores! Danny Stroop!
Here you're going to see Dan Stroop just fighting for some space. A nice outside shot. And he's had O'Toole's number on his shots.
His third of the game. And Dan Stroop's fifth of the playoffs makes it a 10-9 Toronto lead.
Now, if you're Dan Stroop, you want to keep shooting because he seemed to have been able to find the holes on Pat O'Toole. One of the few guys who's been able to beat him consistently.
So, with 9:35 left, it's the Rock by one.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
Announcing the world premiere of the all-new Chevy Tahoe. More power, more room, more SUV. It's nowhere near anything Chevy Tahoe, like a rock.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
Well, it's 10-9 Toronto at 9:35 to play in the fourth quarter, and for a rookie in the National Lacrosse League, Caleb Toth, it doesn't get any better than this.
No, this is perfect. You know, we're up by a goal. There's lots of time left. But with the crowd behind us, I got all the confidence in the world in my team.
Plenty of fan support in Calgary watching on, I assume.
Yeah, I have all my buddies and family out in Calgary watching me and cheering me on. It's great to, get a couple goals and do well.
Thanks, Caleb. Joe, this has been another Molson Export Bench Report.
And I know that Chris Gill's got his family and friends out at the Sportsman's Bar in Port Moody, BC, cheering him on as well. It is 10-9 Toronto. Veltman with the ball. And two huge goals from Toth and Stroop after Rochester had taken a 9-8 lead on a short-handed goal by Casey Powell. Kim Squire looking for Doyle, and it went over top of the goal. This is Toll in the corner. Steve Toll, a sixth-round pick from Niagara Falls, hands it off, and 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Rod Squire to Harrison. Toth to Stroop. Shot scores! He's on fire! Dan Stroop with his fourth of the game.
This was a very smart play by Toronto. They know that Dan Stroop is hot, and they isolated him. Everyone pulls away. They let him go one-on-one. When somebody's got a hot hand, you give them the ball. And that was well thought out. The rest of the Toronto team just pulled away and let Dan give a go one-on-one.
Powell gets a nice move away from Graham, who's lost his stick, and the shot by Sudan went over top. The Rock with one player less a stick as Graham has his stick up at the top. Now here's Powell trying to get it free. Powell lost it. Hollenbach has trouble with it. 15 seconds on the shot clock. John Grant Jr. Here winds it up, gets an inside move. Oh, big save there by Bob Watson. Grant tried to sell him the high shot and then went low, and Watson made a good recovery. The Rock leading 11-9, 7:48 to play in the fourth quarter, and this place has been electric here at Maple Leaf Gardens. Feltman and Kim Squire outside, pick for Doyle, and then Doyle is run over on a hit inside by Brad MacArthur on a good play.
Back comes defense by Rochester, recovering on that pick and roll.
Pat McCready heading to the bench, dishes it off now for Molosky. Kurt Molosky working the right side. Ladouceur checking him. Bombery, a shot that went wide. And the rebound will bound over the timeline. Toronto ball.
And everybody on both benches know that the next goal is going to be very key. It'll be tough if Toronto goes up by 3 with 6 or 7 minutes to go in a game. It's tough to come back in this against a tough defensive team like them.
Dan Stroop back onto the floor, and why not? Toth has it knocked out of his stick. Now double teams Casey Saff, but a penalty is coming to Toronto. Saff to Teeth. Toth is going to get the penalty, I believe, as Rochester sets up with the extra man. Grant winds, fires, and a good save by Whipper Watson. But the penalty will go to Toronto. And the power play will be the 9th of the game for the Rochester Knighthawks.
Here we're going to see the penalty on Toth. He's going to call him for holding. He grabbed his sweater. He grabbed his sweater there and he called for that. That's not a what you got. You don't want to get caught doing that in the offensive end. There's no point doing that this time in the game in the offensive zone.
Rochester was second in the league in scoring during the regular season. Buffalo had 202 goals, Rochester 187. And they trail by a pair here. 6:17 to play. Unable to handle the ball in front was Molosky. Behind and over the shoulder, a shot stop. Sudan with a net, and he couldn't get it delivered. Past Big Terry Bullen. What a great play by Bullen. Penalty coming here to Rochester. Great effort by Glenn Clark. And as it's touched by Sudan. .6:03 to play, fourth period. 1:27 left in the penalty to Toth. And then Clark with some great efforts.
Watch John Grant here. This guy has just got so much talent. He's going to pick up a loose ball in front of the net here. Off the chest, see the fake between the legs.
Much the same as what we saw during the pregame when you talked about him in that one move he made while
playing field across. He fakes between his legs, comes around.
So Sudan is in the box. It has been an exceptionally physical game. Glenn Clark gets nailed here, but watch him maintain possession of the ball. And Sudan, number 33, is penalized. The Rock will go to a power play, abbreviated, in a minute 22. Kim Squire couldn't find Doyle, and then Doyle is flattened in front by Mike Hazen. Lead pass for Powell. Powell and Langdell over the shoulder and went wide. Behind the net is Rusty Kruger. Powell switches hands. Gets back to right hand. Shot scores! Casey Powell. While they're playing 4-on-4. Makes it 11-10. His second goal of the quarter.
And just seconds ago, we saw Casey Powell take a bad shot. We're going to see the whole thing here. We're going to see Casey Powell come down. And this isn't the best shot selection. He's going to take a relatively weak backhand, misses the net. Now, Casey Powell's just learning this game, and he's one of the best field lacrosse players of all time. You're going to see what he does in field lacrosse so well. He's just has a great shot. And this is beautiful. Bobby Watson never even saw it.
Down in the Rochester zone with Veltman chasing, but it's steered back to Pat O'Toole. Out of the front door is Grant. Great play and a goal! Oh my, what a play by John Grant! Set up by Pat O'Toole. This game is tied at 11. What a great pass, but what a great finish.
Great pass, great finish. Terry Bullen took a bit of a chance here. He thought he could intercept it. But watch the finish by Grant as he's falling down.
So John Grant Jr. has his third goal. He's got four assists, and Rochester has rallied from a first half deficit of 7-4 to be tied 11-11 here going into the fourth period's final 5 minutes. What a great game. John Grant Jr. with his third goal of the game and his 8th in 2 games. Back they come again, the Nighthawks. 8 straight games that Grant has scored 3 or more times.
And Toronto almost got caught with too many men on the floor there.
This is Jacobs. Grant bounced it wide, but a big rebound. He tries to protect it, and Bomberry has it. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Stopped by Watson, but a fresh 30 is on the board as Graham is down, and a whistle here and a timeout on the floor. We've got 4:36 to go in the fourth period, and we are tied at 11 goals apiece. The National Lacrosse League Championship very much up in the air.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
What's on for today?
Boss wants you, me, and Charlie to take the new Silverado and move them bales.
Is that Charlie?
Chevy Silverado has the most powerful V8 of any 4x4 pickup.
Then we gotta water the herd.
300 horses make it more powerful.
If there's any daylight left, we'll take Norm up to see the ladies.
More powerful than Ford and Dodge. That's why it's the truck. Silverado from Chevy.
Well, guess that's enough for today.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
Better than 14,000 in the Grand Old Lady on Carlton Street are enjoying every minute of this. Doyle on a power play. Scores! Danny Stroop! Holy Mackinac on fire, and everybody's enjoying it.
Dan Stroop has scored in his last 3 shots on net. So why not get him the ball? And it just keeps working. They look for Stroop here. He slips up here. Just another shot. He seems to find the twine every time. You got to keep giving him the ball. He's hot.
Toronto again. Rod Squire couldn't find the handle. Challenged by Jeremy Holenbeck. Squire in tough, trying to protect the ball and play. He looked like Mike Pinball Clemens going through the line down there.
They won't get the ball off of him. The referee called him for warding with the free hand. But I think he just saw that nobody could get it off him. It must have been something.
Shot hit a leg. Grant with the rebound. 12-11 the score. Grant trying to get to the net, spinning, shooting, and it went over top of the goal, and Watson has it. What a player, John Grant, in his rookie season. Lead pass. Shot over top. Steve Toll with a great chance. Ball is in the air. This is Brad MacArthur. 3:30 to go, fourth period.
We're going to be seeing John Grant get the ball an awful lot, and he's going to be going to the net.
You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that out. Here's Molosky. Far side. Jacobs being double-teamed. Bomberry with the ball loose, and it's corralled by Big Daddy Ladouceur. Stumbling, bumbling, tumbling, gets it to Clark. Shot is stopped by O'Toole. And Ladouceur is upended, heading to the bench. Bomberry 2-on-1. Shot stopped by Watson. 2:54 to go. They're going end-to-end. 12-11 Toronto.
And Ladouceur better catch his breath on the bench because they're going to be needing him on defense the rest of the way.
If this is the last professional event in this building, it is being shown a gem. Kim Squire scores! With 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, Kim Squire builds a 2-goal lead for Toronto.
Just a nice screen shot again, and he finds the short side. Nothing fancy about it. He just wants a shot. Beautiful shot.
His third of the game, and he and Dan Stroop have been outstanding, and Grant and Powell have been leading the Rochester charge, and here's Powell, and he fired it wide. Over and back.
One of the hardest outside shots I've ever seen, Joe. They can't let him shoot. He's got a great shot.
Now with 2:20 left in the fourth period.
They've got double threats. When Powell's got that great outside shot, he can open up the defense. And then Grant is so dangerous everywhere.
Kim Squire. But once again, Toronto's been getting offense spread around. But Dan Stroop has had a marvelous afternoon with 5 goals. Squire can't track that down, but gets it freed and then pays a price. Comes off the boards, behind the back, and that was stopped by O'Toole.
That didn't miss by much.
Hollenbach bringing it back for Rochester. What a finish we're in for. 1 minute and 40 seconds to play. This is Sedan. Scores! Dwayne Jacobs, number 34. It's 13-12.
What a finish we're in for. You're right. And I thought this was John Grant for a second there. Just a nice play. Dwayne Jacobs, their all-time leading scorer, bounces one in. Here we're going to see again. There's a bit of interference here. It's tough for Bullen to keep up with him. A nice pick up and Bullen up high, and a great shot. Every loose ball is so important now.
Jacobs' second goal of the game and his third of the postseason. And makes it 13-12, and we've got a timeout on the floor. With 1 minute and 32 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. How important now is coaching as we look at Les Bartley and Paul Day?
Well, They're not going to pull their goal. I'd be very, very surprised if they pull their goalie here, but this is where your practices, your set plays really pay off. But, you know, I would bet you just about anything. If they got a set play, the ball is going to end up in John Grant's stick.
And if it's in the Toronto Rock, you're looking for number 8.
Well, Toronto doesn't really have to score. Toronto's got to make sure that they use the 30 seconds, but try to get a shot near the end of the 30 seconds and then hustle for that loose ball if you can.
Well, there's no question that the Toronto Rock are enjoying a 7th man on the floor, if you will, because this crowd has just been electric here this afternoon in stifling heat in a non-air conditioned building that was constructed 68 years ago in the throes of the Depression.
Watch for John Grant to pull a crowd to him and dish it off.
Here's Powell and Sudan. Sudan being forced wide by Ladisor. Sudan still with it, 17 on the shot clock. Takes it outside to Powell. Coyle is checking him. Bullen on Jacobs. Now it goes 3 for Mearns. Loose ball on the carpet, and it's controlled by Ladisor, but he throws it away. He threw it away when he couldn't find anyone, and Bullen motioning to his mates to calm down. Less than a minute to go. Grant with Clark checking on him. Clark shoots, scores! Grant! An unbelievable shot by John Grant Jr. to tie the game.
What a goal this is. Grant is down and out, and he gets the over-the-shoulder shot. Here we're going to see, they've switched it up. They've got Clark covering him now instead of Bullen. But look it, he's got 2 guys on him. He gets a shot away and somehow gets it in.
His 4th of the game, 9th of the playoffs.
Watch him here, he's getting ready to shoot. Over the shoulder.
And Bob Watson is down in the goal crease. This may be from exhaustion and, as you mentioned, one of those unofficial timeouts. As right now, Dave Murray is out to take a look at the Toronto goaltender. Here's another look at it.
Everybody on the floor knows what's happening. 3 guys converge on him, and he still gets that shot in.
What a performance from John Grant Jr., 25 years of age, went to the University of Delaware.
4 goals, 4 assists.
Rookie of the year this year, 77 points, 37 of which were goals. And he has put on a show not only this week, but 2 weeks ago to get his team into this championship game. 5 goals in the semifinal, 4 more of them here. But it's been his playmaking as much as his scoring that's been incredible.
Oh, exactly, and he knows when he draws a crowd, he dishes it off. But I'll tell you, Joe, if it's tied at the end of this period, we go to overtime, but this might as well be overtime right now.
They're on their feet at the Gardens. .3 seconds remain in the 4th period. The game is tied at 13. It could be a sudden death period to come. Loose ball controlled by Rochester. The face-offs are so important. Sapp with 38 seconds left. They must get a shot on the net in the next 20 seconds. And now a timeout called by Paul Day. Oh my, how important that face-off was. It was scrummed to the near side and then corralled by Rochester.
Now the only thing going in Toronto's favor, though, is that there's only 19 seconds left in the shot clock. So Rochester's got 19 seconds to make a play. And then if Toronto gets the ball back, they've got their 10-12 seconds to get a timeout and make their play.
John Grant, keep an eye open for him. The Rock defenders are going to have to.
And the other thing in Toronto's favor here, Joe, is that Rochester can't afford to pull the goalie here. If Toronto does get the ball back, they can pull the goalie.
So the all-star netminder in the National Lacrosse League against the Rookie of the Year and All-Pro forward John Grant. That's the matchup that's about to happen here in the next 19 seconds on the shot clock. 32.3 seconds left on the game clock.
And they got Terry pulling on him. If I'm Terry, I'm not letting go of him.
Crazy glue.
And he is holding him.
Sudan.
That's what he's got to do. And there's a
dishes
switch.
It off. Grant now to Powell. Powell chased by Ladiseur. Up high for Sudan. Stopped by Watson. And they give it back to Bob Watson, and Ladiseur crunches into Grant. And with 16.2 seconds left, a timeout Toronto, and the last shot will belong to the Rock.
And this is where your 6-on-5 play comes in.
Bob Watson comes up large.
All season in your practices, Joe, you work on your power play, your short man, but you make sure you spend some time in a 6-on-5. That's where you pull your goalie for the extra attacker. It happens in a delayed penalty or in a situation like this. Now, so far, I don't think Toronto's done too well in their 6-and-5. We haven't seen many goals on it this year. But if they're ever going to make it work, here's one time to do it.
It was 3-2 Rochester at the end of the first period. 7-4 Toronto at the end of the second quarter and at halftime. Tied at 8 at the end of the third period. With 16.2 seconds, these teams have battled long and hard this afternoon and are tied 13-13. Goaltender Watson is out of the net.
And really, there should be no surprise. These are two great teams that are really well balanced.
Bringing it up is Caleb Toth. 10 seconds. He takes a look at the clock. Toth from outside. Doyle is up high and gets the ball. Doyle looking back to Toth. Shooting, scores! With 1 second left! 1 second left!
We've been saying that all year. He's got to shoot a lot, and here he gets the wind up. What a shot. He's got maybe the hardest shot in Toronto.
It's over! Bob Watson makes a huge save to set the stage for the final 16 seconds. And Caleb Toth scores with 1 second left. What a disheartening loss for a game Rochester Knighthawks team. But what a tremendous spectacle for the National Lacrosse League in front of a gathering here at Maple Leaf Gardens in maybe the last professional sport played on the Grand Ole Ladies ice or floor.
And Joe, it's great because I'd say this was the best game we've seen here in the 2 years that the Rock has been playing. This was a fantastic game from start to finish by both teams. Great play, superstars like John Grant scoring some beautiful goals.
Casey Powell's efforts to get Rochester back. And what can you say about Dan Strout, who had his best game of the season, one would think, 5 goals. And then Caleb Toth with a great chance from outside and his bullet over the shoulder of Pat O'Toole. And there's the game hero right there. Goaltender Pat O'Toole. And to the victors go the spoils. What an afternoon of entertainment.
You think this crowd's going to go home happy, Joe?
Back-to-back world champions, the Toronto Rock. Ring down the curtain on Maple Leaf Gardens in fashion. Let's go downstairs to Paul Hendrick.
Thank you, Joe. Caleb, congratulations. That couldn't have been written better by a Hollywood scriptwriter. How does it feel?
It's amazing, you know. I just kind of wound up after Doyle gave it to me, and I knew that he likes to go down and leaves that corner, so I pulled it. And all day I've been putting it in his stomach, and this time I got all of it and put it in. It was great.
There is no way you had any idea how much time was left on the clock.
I had not a clue. I just knew that when Doyle passed it to me, I better shoot that thing, and I better make it count. And I did. You know, the team today played unreal. Bob Watson kept us in this game. You know, he's a great goalie. We had a great team, and it's just amazing.
Caleb, you get an opportunity to win your first ring, and you certainly earned it here today.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Caleb Toth, the game hero with 1 second left, scoring the game-winning goal. Joe and Brian, let's go back upstairs to you.
11 Stanley Cup banners hang in the rafters of this building, and now 2 National Lacrosse League World Championship banners in that trophy will be presented to the Toronto Rock for the 2nd consecutive year. As we take a look at the championship banner won last year, they're going to have to move that down the street to the Air Canada Centre where they will play next season. But what a tremendous finish here. It was just a tremendous seesaw battle back and forth. Bob Watson saved with about 30 seconds left, made a great save. Let's go downstairs. Speaking of Bob Watson, here he is with Paul.
Well, Bob, we've used the line before. It's hardly elementary when you're in there. You played so very well today. Our hearts were in our throats, the fans here as well. How was it for you?
It's an incredible feeling. I mean, to play in this atmosphere with the crowd, the heat in here, it took every ounce of everybody's energy, and we did it,
What a tremendous job by you and Pat O'Toole. You mentioned the heat. You guys with certainly a little more armor to work with, and that would affect your focus through 4 quarters.
Oh, definitely. I'm feeling it right now. I just like to sit down, but what a feeling. I mean, Patty O'Toole, hat goes off to him. He faced a lot of rubber tonight, and he kept this game, and he gave his team an opportunity to win. And unfortunately, Canada pulled it out for us in the end.
Bob, another championship for you. Congratulations.
Thanks. I just want to say hi to my wife at home and my new son, Dylan. I love you.
All right, well said. Congratulations, Bob. What a win here for the Toronto Rock by a score of 14-13. There's more to come. Let's go back upstairs to Joe and Brian.
Well spent and exhausted. Both teams. One exhilarated with victory and the other disappointed with defeat. But we're going downstairs shortly for the trophy presentation. Dan Stroop is the game's MVP. He had 5 goals. What a performance he put in. The 31-year-old native.
And he was hot.
New Westminster, BC. Yeah?
Looked like Toronto was going cold. He got hot and kept them in it.
And now the commissioner, John Levesey, of the commissioner of the National Lacrosse League, will come to the podium to present the championship trophy to Jim Veltman.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Rochester Knighthawks for playing an outstanding game. Jim, what a way to close out this building. One of the most difficult things to do in professional sports is to repeat as a champion. An honor well deserved. Congratulations to you, your teammates, and your entire organization, and the fans of the Toronto Rock.
the Stanley Cup.
And you know, Joe, there's only one rookie playing in the Toronto lineup today, and that's Caleb Toth, who scored the winner.
And so the young man, a Rookie of the Year, and there are the National Lacrosse League previous champions in the final. The first team to repeat since the Philadelphia Wings were able to do it are the Toronto Rock. And there's the game MVP, Dan Stroop, and there is the game's hero, Caleb Toth. And two terrific rookies. One that was a dominant force for the Rochester Knighthawks and John Grant Jr. And I guess, if you will, the runner-up in the Rookie of the Year award, Caleb Toth, scoring the game-winning goal with 1 second remaining on the clock. They're bringing the trophy to center floor. And what has been a tradition started a number of years ago, the team photo right now being organized down on the floor. All of them Canadian born and bred, and all of them enjoying this moment.
And all of them loving playing at Maple Leaf Gardens. There's a lot of class on that floor, Joe, including the Rochester players, many of them who stuck around for the presentation.
Pat O'Toole is still there to view the championship photograph. As the Toronto Rock, with a tremendous last-second win, Caleb Toth scoring at 14:59 to give the Rock a 14-13 victory. We're back with more from Maple Leaf Gardens after this.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
If you're looking for horsepower, look at Chevy Silverado. Because Silverado has the most powerful V8 of any 4x4 pickup. More powerful than Dodge, more powerful than Ford, 300 horsepower. That's why it's the truck. Silverado from Chevy.
So what's on for today?
Boss wants you, me, and Charlie to take the new Silverado and move them bales.
Is that Charlie?
Chevy Silverado has the most powerful V8 of any 4x4 pickup.
Then we gotta water the herd.
300 horses make it more powerful.
If there's any daylight left, we'll take Norm up to see the ladies.
More powerful than Ford and Dodge. That's why it's the truck. Silverado from Chevy.
Well, guess that's enough for today.
Life has its bumps, but you don't have to feel them. Now Midas Gold struts with R2 technology are only $79.95 each, with a lifetime guarantee at any Midas. Go smoothly. Go Midas.
Goalkeeper Pat O'Toole experienced the thrill of victory with the Buffalo Bandits back in 1997. You experienced literally the agony of defeat here with 1 second to play. You played so tremendously. Your thoughts on that goal? Were you screened on the play?
No, I just, you know, Dan Stroop had 5 goals, so
our plan was to, keep him from scoring, and then they pulled their goalie and they got the 6th guy. And when you have an extra guy out there, you can't, stop everybody. And Caleb came down and just let one go, and I don't even know where it went yet. I know it hit my pad a little bit before it went in, so obviously it went in the corner. But it was just he just had 2 or 3 steps, and he had all he had behind it, and it just blew by me.
At the Toronto Rock, 15-1 in 2 seasons here, but there was no doubt from any of you people on your bench and on the floor that you weren't going to pull this one out. There was no quitting the Nighthawks today.
No, there wasn't. Last year when they first came in here, I guess we lost once bad, and we were just kind of hoping to win. But this year, we came here, lost 11-10 this season, and we knew we could win, and we just kept fighting back, and just ran out of time. Last shot won, and Bobby made the big save down there. They got the ball back. They came back, and they got the goal. So what can I say? The Rock deserve it.
You played hurt for most of the season. You've got knee surgery upcoming. No excuses. They're all playing hurt out here today. But was that a bit of a factor in any of this because you played so well?
No, it wasn't. After it happened the 3rd game of the season, and for the next 2 or 3 games, it was a little tender. But after that, I got full mobility back, and it hasn't. I got it taped up before the games just for extra little support, but it has no factor in my play.
Job well done. Thanks so very much for doing this with us.
No problem. Thank you.
Pat O'Toole of the Rochester Nighthawks. Let's go back upstairs to Joe and Brian.
Well, it's pretty warm up here at Maple Leaf Gardens. It'll be warm in that dressing room. It'll be an enjoyable time for the Toronto Rock. Today's Turning Point brought to you by AOL Canada. New pricing, unlimited use. Stay on as long as you want. Well, the turning point came with a second left.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just a great outside shot. Pat O'Toole said it the way it was. He just blew it by. Maybe they were playing Stroopy a little tight, gave him a little bit of extra room. Great hard shot.
And the winning goal from Caleb Toth with 1 second left in the 4th period to win the game. And one more order of business to do. The hit of the game brought to you by Yamaha, exceeding expectations, and it was a very physical game here, Brian.
Yeah, and I don't know how you can pick the hit of the game because there were so many good ones. Here you see, right near the end of the game, Ladouceur getting a little of his weight, but one of several great hits.
And Pat Coyle certainly had his share of them as well. So a tremendous effort here by the Toronto Rock. It is difficult to repeat as champions, and they played like champions from about halfway through the season.
And you know what? These are 2 great, evenly balanced teams, and a lot of people were saying it was going to be a 1-goal game, and they were right, and it basically was an overtime game.
And to Paul Day and his crew, just a tremendous game and a great game by John Grant. And certainly, Les Bartley, what can you say? They stuck with pretty much the same unit that they had other than inserting Caleb Toth, and it certainly paid off.
Exactly, and he looked so smart there. Only one rookie played in the final game, and look at how much he contributed.
And he contributes the game-winning goal with just 1 second left in the game. A great afternoon of entertainment in the National Lacrosse League here from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. And so for all of us here in Toronto, we want to thank you ever so much, and we'll go back right downstairs to Paul Hendrick.
Well, thank you, Joe, and what a fitting tribute and end to the grand old lady of Carlton Street, Maple Leaf Gardens, that opened its doors back on November 12, 1931, and several months later in the spring of 1932, the Toronto Maple Leafs would win a Stanley Cup championship. As mentioned previously, there were many more cups to come. The Beatles played here, Muhammad Ali fought here, and there were all sorts of heads of states who graced their presence here at Maple Leaf Gardens. But the Toronto Rock ended in fine fashion with 2 consecutive championships. Let's take a look back at memories and previous dreams of the grand old lady here in Carlton Street, Maple Leaf Gardens, as we bid fond farewell to this tremendous building. Today's Molson Export National